rattles out. Tap back, it goes to Meyer. It came in and out of the hands of Gorham.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Meyer, he averages 8. He has a nice spinning move right there. Meyer has been terrific with 15 points, 5 of 10.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Meyer down low on a great thread through from Mitchell.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Backdoor, Meyer stops it home.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
We're still some dogs, so we're not too worried about it.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go on this Wednesday afternoon, June the 23rd. SicEm365 Radio will take you the next 3 hours. Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina to my right and to my left. And I'm David Smoak, and we're on till 6 with a handful of things to get to. Matthew Meyer, who made the decision to take his name out of the NBA draft, will join us today at 5. We'll have a Cowboys segment with Jon Machota a little bit after that. And then also today, Mack Rhoades joins us. And we'll reintroduce ourselves to Mack Rhoades, the Baylor Director of Athletics, on many things, including a lot has changed since the last time we spoke with him. Name, image, likeness, of course, the Supreme Court, among some others. Ashley Hodge sent me a text about a week ago about some questions he had that we'll pass along to Mack and get some questions and answers from him. Baylor, guys, it's a 2023. It's down the road, but it's a pretty darn good player. Post-high school, remember, lost to Shiner in the 2A state championship game. They were 15-1, lost in the championship game. They had 7 shutouts. 11 of the 14 games they actually played, they gave up 7 points or less. It's a small school. Post has got a pretty good history. The Antelopes, one of the better names in Texas. And he was one of their studs as a sophomore. He's a 2023 player. He singled out Joey McGuire as a reason he committed. He's the first of the commit to 2023. Isaiah Crawford from Post. They allowed very few points. And, you got to start a class somewhere. And he seems to be a guy that's very highly rated.
Yeah, this seems like recruiting is back in its normal form. And got people committing to 2 classes, at a time, and that's what they want. And I'm not sure how many they'd like to have for 2023 once the summer ends, but you can't get to that number without the first one. So,
yeah, well, I mean, it's about time you start that next class. I think most teams probably, or maybe not most at this point, but a large portion of them already have 2023 commits because we're halfway through this cycle. Therefore, you're already working on that class that follows the one that will be signing in about 8 months from now. So, yeah, you don't necessarily have to have one at this point, but it's good to have one. And this one's especially good because, obviously teams like Arizona State, Mississippi State, Colorado, Texas Tech have all already offered this young man. And I only know Post from being just a little town that's a stop outside of Lubbock, where there are very few stops outside of Lubbock. It's like one of the last places to stop before you get to Lubbock in this vast expanse between Weatherford and Abilene and West Texas. But now I know it because Baylor's, pulling a pretty big linebacker commit out of Post. So good to see him jump on board, and that's a very nice piece to start that 2023 class. It's been fun to see them have some success in recruiting. Even when they had success last year, the season was going so poorly, and there was just so many moving parts that it was just like, it was exciting, but just, I don't know, you couldn't really get fully invested because there was just so many things, moving around. But now they've kind of settled in and you're seeing them build, and the foundation's actually not shuffling under their feet this time around, and you're seeing them build pretty quickly as a result.
I think so. By the way, his uncle Billy played sports athletics at Baylor, so there's a legacy there in some ways. The Big 12 SEC Men's Basketball Challenge, of course, I mentioned Matthew Meyer will join us today at 5 after his return to Baylor basketball. Baylor will play Alabama on the road, a team that they almost played in the Final Four. No, in the Elite Eight. Was it the Elite Eight? They ended up playing Arkansas. But Alabama will be who Baylor plays. Kentucky, Kansas, that's a game. Interesting note, Tennessee plays in Austin against Texas. Rick Barnes back in Austin for the first time since he left. It's been quite a few years ago. But those are 2 of the 3 or 4 games that highlight the Big 12 SEC Challenge.
West Virginia, Arkansas. Can I see? Can you just show me that a little bit? West Virginia, Arkansas, I think would be a great game. Tennessee, Texas. Obviously, I'm glad they didn't avoid the Shaka matchup like they did. What was that with Texas in the tournament where they could set that up? But I'm glad. Have Rick Barnes face Texas. Why the hell not? That's way more interesting than anybody else you could have put them with. Use storylines to enhance the matchups. That's marketing. That's what you're supposed to do. So Tennessee, Texas makes tons of sense. I mean, LSU, TCU, whatever. Oak State, Florida could be pretty good, although no Cade Cunningham anymore. K-State, Ole Miss, whatever. Oklahoma, Auburn could be pretty good probably. Kentucky, Kansas, though. I mean, that makes tons of sense, and Baylor, Bama should be good as well. So I like some of these matches. West Virginia, Arkansas, that'd be good too.
Baylor's going to have yet another hellacious non-conference schedule, as you would expect, because of being the defending champions, and they would have had even a better non-conference schedule last year had it not been for some of the games that were canceled. Arizona State, what could have been, Villanova early? Is that right? Or Connecticut, Villanova, and then, of course, the Gonzaga game as well. Last night in the NBA, I didn't watch the ending of the game, Phoenix against the Clippers. But the game ended on a dunk. Alley-oop, inbounds, dunk. And Ayton's the one that dunked it. This is the Clippers now down 0-2 again. They've struggled. They've fallen behind in these series. They've come back. This is without Chris Paul for Phoenix. But it was a great game. And the playoffs have been good without some of the bigger names because there's good young names, fresh names and teams involved. But Matt Norlander tweeted this out. This is the thing that got all of my attention besides the amazing inbounds pass for the dunk to win the game. And you cannot have goaltending on an inbounds pass. Did you know that?
I did not.
Because, basically he caught it right above the rim. You can't. I didn't know that, but Van Gundy mentioned that in the post. That
makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense as a rule. Yeah.
So you cannot have goaltending. I don't know if that means you can't have either way, like even deep. I don't know. But Matt Norlander, the last 2 minutes of gameplay between the Clippers and Suns took 33 minutes in real time.
That's insane. That's insane. Yeah. That's wow.
TV.
That's TV for you. That's commercials for you. It's like they say, the commercials are why TV exists. The shows are just around the commercials. Like, we look at it the other way, but that's not how TV execs look at it. They look at it the complete opposite. So, yeah, they got their commercials in.
In a nip-and-tuck game, there were tons of timeouts as well, which then leads to commercials. Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, the NFL finally figured this out. And look, the NBA's TV ratings, things are going well for the NBA now. They're going well, so they don't need my advice. But so were they for the NFL. The NFL got wise to it, though, because enough people complained about touchdown, timeout, kickoff, timeout.
Yeah.
And it was
drove me crazy.
Yeah, and so
that was so necessary to get rid of that. Yeah, it was insane. It was another way to squeeze in, and it just slows down the game, and it's long enough so you could have somebody score, kick an extra point, and 10 minutes later you get the snap on the next possession.
Well, yeah, because it's not only the time, you got all the timeouts because you stow away those timeouts and use them at the end. And you got the commercials that are a result of the timeout or just the regular commercial breaks. Then you have the fouls, which those obviously come into play. And then you got, of course, the replay. And so, you add all those things together, and it's not really that surprising when you think about it that they can stretch out 2 minutes of a ball game and make it 33 between commercials, replays, fouls, all that stuff. So, yeah, maybe something the NBA wants to take a look at. They're doing well in the ratings. I think they're really benefiting from, younger stars. We're not getting beat over the head with LeBron, and as popular as he is, I'm sorry, but it kind of loses its novelty when it's the same thing every single year. So I think the novelty this year is the fact that it is new and people are enjoying that. And they're enjoying, hey, there's people in the stands and I can go outside and there's all that. So the NBA is really thriving right now. And, that's something that moving forward, they probably should want to take a look at and see how they can at least chop a few minutes off of something.
Speaking of that, and Chris Paul says he intends to play Game 3 of that Clippers series. The Suns up 2-0. This from Yahoo Sports. NBA TV market share has hit an all-time high. The viewership share for these playoffs, 2021, is at its highest since 2002 when the league started tracking it. Why?
I think Craig kind of hit on it there a lot. I think that's
fresh teams, fresh faces.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think it was probably hitting a lull when it was whatever team LeBron's on against the Warriors. Like it's just like, oh, great, and it's sad to take anything away from either of those two people those two teams because they certainly earned it. But there's a reason that they shake up TV lineups when you're just watching regular shows. They'll move things around night to night, so you have to go and find them. It's not the same thing every year. And so I say that, and CBS has been the same thing the whole time. But I mean, I think it's necessary. Look, the NFL has a salary cap for parity, and it's worked out for them pretty well outside of the Patriots dynasty. But even the Patriots dynasty wasn't infallible. There were things about it. So, yeah, parity's good. And the league is experiencing an all-time high in parity right now.
How much do you think as well that the NBA had their time and their moment with the social justice and everything everywhere, jerseys, court, whatever, and now they just went back to playing the game?
I think that's some of it. I do think it was a little bit of a turnoff for some folks last year when they tuned in, and it's like messaging, and it's like – I do understand the crowd that sometimes goes, I just want to watch sports. And then I do understand the other side that goes, yeah, but, these guys have opinions and we shouldn't, I understand the balance of it, but I think there should be a balance. And then, the two sides seem to argue that it should be just one way or the other. And I'm Mr. in the middle on that. But I can see where, even as someone in the middle, that gets tiresome. Hearing that and watching that over and over and over again when I really am just trying to watch a game. Like I'm not trying to get educated on why my race is bad or why the world's falling apart. Or it's like, no, I literally tuned in just to not think about that for 5 minutes. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We all need to unplug somehow. So, maybe, not having as much of that and just allowing people to appreciate the sport, which is what they intended to do to begin with, does allow just more people to, pop it on. And I do think the new faces help. And I think just the fact that they're really benefiting from what else is going on right now?
Not much. College World Series and that's it.
And that's a blip.
And that's a blip in the U.S. Open, even though it's
a blip.
Yep.
So, they're really the only game in town right now. There's not much on TV in general, really, that's like just going crazy in the ratings. So I think they're feeding the need for the people at home watching TV, and I think they're benefiting too from being a live action game in a time where the whole world's opening up back again and people are getting out and excited to see people in the stands. So I think it's been good timing. I also just think not only good timing with their season, but good timing with the teams and the players that are succeeding right now.
All right, so that's that. And speaking of young faces, the draft, the lottery last night occurred. The Pistons get the number 1 pick, Rockets 2, Cavaliers, Raptors, Magic, Thunder, Warriors, Magic again, and then the Kings. And Davion Mitchell appeared on ESPN prior to the lottery, like a 5-minute interview. I hope we maybe be able to pop that up at some point. But the whole thing about Davion Mitchell, his dad sent me a picture of it. Actually, his father sent me the video. He's sitting down, and there's the 4 host or whatever. Mm-hmm. And Davion Mitchell's wearing a Baylor shirt, which is great.
Get that. Could you try again?
And then, on top of that, he's holding a basketball in his hands. And I talked to his brother Derek about it. He's like, I think it's his brother or Uncle Derek, and he's like, he doesn't go anywhere. It's like a body part. And it was good to see Davion Mitchell being featured. He was on there, and it depends on who is. They have him projected to the Warriors. The Raptors might be interested earlier, maybe, I don't know.
Well,
but it was so him with a basketball attached to his body.
Well, stick around, folks, for today's Top 5. His Top 5 Davion Mitchell destinations.
Oh, okay, good. All right, well, good.
Yeah, he's getting pegged to the Warriors in a lot of mocks, and that'd be great for him. He'd be fantastic for them. I've seen, one thing about Davion is he's not very tall. They measured him without shoes. Baylor had him listed, I think, at 6'2" all year, and he was a shade over 6 feet tall. In fact, I might be taller than Davion Mitchell, actually. I'd have to stand socks on next to him, but I bet we're pretty close. If not, I'm a shade taller. So, that was something that was a little bit of a revelation and could ping his, or ding his hopes a little bit, but I think once you flip on the tape, that's going to go away in a hurry, and Golden State would be a great landing spot for him. I'm sure he'd be thrilled.
Well, considering that Scott Drew had no problem during the national championship game rotating him onto Drew Timme a couple times, I don't think he's intimidated. So
no, he's going to be just fine. But, things like that, knock down linebackers or knock down offensive linemen, how big are how long are their arms?
And I don't think this is a Pierre Jackson situation because Pierre Jackson is less than 6 feet.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
much less, yeah.
And so
yeah, the other names of interest, of course, Cade Cunningham right now it seems to be the number 1 overall pick. That's consensus. Davion Mitchell is at 7. Kai Jones played at Texas. He's in the top 10. Kispert from Gonzaga, 11. These are just a couple of the names. Maybe some names that you remember. I saw Jared Butler's here like at 26. Denver has the 26th pick. Texas center Greg Brown or forward Greg Brown at 27.
At 27?
Yeah.
He left school to go 27?
Sharif Cooper, Taya's brother, who played at Auburn, is in the top first round attached to Phoenix. And yes. And he was a one and done. I always thought he was a one and done. But I don't know if he ever...
No, he wasn't that great. I mean, he was one of those guys that you saw why the NBA loved him, but that didn't necessarily mean he was going to be a great college basketball player. He was fine. He showed flashes of where he could be dominant, but he never really was that guy.
I mean, think about Perry Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, Perry Jones is a guy who had a lot of athletic talent, but, there was just something that wasn't, everybody said he was a one and done. I remember watching that first year, and he wasn't one at not being. Greg Brown had that same feeling to me where it's like, I see it, but there's something like, there's something like Cade Cunningham, you watch him, it's like, no, that guy, he's a one and done.
Yeah, I got why there was that talk, but I'm just surprised to hear him being selected that low and having decided to leave early to be a borderline first-round pick, but nothing against the guy. Good luck to him. That's just surprising.
When we come back, it's 3:17. We're pretty wide open in this first hour. In fact, we are. I'm going to see if we can find that Davion Mitchell audio and have it played that was on NBA on ESPN last night because it's pretty interesting. Plus, he'll join us again here sometime pretty soon. What are your thoughts? Are you watching the NBA more in the postseason than you did a year ago? 254-339-1122. Are you watching more? And if you are, why?
I think number one answer will be the fans. I think that's made all the difference in the world. I do maintain that some of it is the stars and the lack of maybe the same old. And, we had that in the NFL with the Patriots, as y'all mentioned, but the NFL is just such a juggernaut that, whoever's in the Super Bowl, it doesn't even really matter. You could put the Browns and the Panthers in there, and you're going to draw 20 million people, So they don't ever really fluctuate. But I think the biggest reason why is the fans being back because it feels normal and it makes the game a hell of a lot better than that awful bubble we had to watch last year because that's what you're comparing it to. You compare it to bubble ball, and bubble ball was boring as all get out.
Well, yeah, I couldn't stand when you could hear the coach being like, "Hey, Kevin."
Yeah, it was like an empty gym. You walk into a gym, you hear sneakers squeaking, and that's about it. You're right. So just the fact it's live. But here's another question I have here. This is the main question for the first hour. Has Baylor's recruiting, and I don't want to use the word surge, but they've had some momentum here. Class of 2022, we know what they've done. A couple of offensive linemen, a wide receiver, and this and that. And then they get 2023 started off with Isaiah Crawford, Joey McGuire, the lead dog on that one among the rest of the staff. This is a very tight-knit staff. I brought this up yesterday, and Craig made a great point. The reason why it seems like it's the case is because they can get in front of these players. They can get in front of them and show them Baylor. They can show them who they are. But has the recruiting uptick changed your mind or given you more confidence in Dave Aranda in the second year? Because last year, not only the record was struggling, but also the recruiting was not all that great either, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But has it changed your mind if, in fact, you had a negative opinion about Dave, Coach Aranda, and the staff after year one? 254-339-1122, a couple of other nuggets to get to. I want to discuss baseball because it's kind of becoming almost a mockery with the pitchers being checked.
Not kind of.
It is becoming a mockery. And Oakland's Sergio
Romo.
He made me spit giggle. when he was being checked by Scherzer went off.
We have both videos when you come back. So.
When we come back, okay, great. But also help us out with your feedback on the Baylor football recruiting going on, and has it given you a little jolt, a little uptick yourself in what they're doing, because they've had a hell of a nice stretch. And I'm telling you, behind the scenes I'm hearing that Mateos is one hell of a recruiter, and he's like never-ending working and working and working. We know about the others, Sean Bell, we know Stuckey, we know the others, obviously Joey McGuire. That's not the only ones. What they've done, Coach Johnson on the defensive line, what they're doing, 254-339-1122, is it giving you kind of an uptick and a, whoa, this is SicEm365 Radio. Ideal MRI, located in Waco, just off of I-35 in the southern part of town, just off the access road in the Central Texas marketplace. They can help you save hundreds and maybe thousands of dollars. If I told you you could do that whether you were trying to purchase product or from groceries to something else, and I said, hey, I can help you save hundreds if not thousands of dollars, and then you're okay, what's the catch? Well, sometimes you just can, depending on the product and where you go. With Ideal MRI, it's fact, it's evidence, it's not just a catch. Ideal MRI can, save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, because their MRIs are $497 or less every single time. I said $497 or less. And they'll also even help you with your insurance. So it can be less than that. More like, why not? If you have pain, a muscle, a ligament, whether it's your shoulder, your knee, it's your back, it's something that hurts and you need to figure out what it is, and your doctor can't find it, and so he says, hey, let's get an MRI. They kind of have an idea, but let's get evidence. IdealMRI.com can save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, and even more importantly, they can find out what the hell hurts so much. Maybe it's a rotator cuff. Maybe it's a torn labrum. Maybe it's an ACL. Maybe it's something worse. And that's about as bad as it gets. At IdealMRI.com, it's as good as it gets.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
The 4th of July sales event is going on at Allen Samuels with the 2021 Jeep Renegade Latitude and values up to $3,750 or 1.9% for 72 months plus $500 bonus cash. And the 2021 Jeep Gladiator Overland with values up to $1,500 or 3.9% for 72 months. Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340, online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Come by, let's be friends.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right. From the text line, both Scotty and Diane on the question about Dave Aranda and the staff. From Scotty, I would like to think more highly of Dave Aranda and the staff, even more than before, to the point Baylor can contend for a Big 12 title in the next few years with the recent strong, but I always was feeling good about them before this recent commits stretch. And then also from Diane, hearing about the new recruits from you guys as we and Cole and Grayson and others has heightened my excitement. September can't get here fast enough. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, thank you, guys. And, I would – if I didn't feel like the direction of this team was going in the right direction, I wouldn't be afraid to say so. And I know there's probably some outlets where you kind of have to be careful about, how pessimistic you might be. But I'm going to tell you right now, if any of the three of us ever feel like things are going completely off track, we'll say it and not worry about what's said across the street about it. And saying that to say that I've remained confident in Dave Aranda this entire time. I chalked up last year just being the mess that it was, because last year was just a mess. And I feel like it was, I don't feel like it was accurate to try and paint a complete picture of him based on last year. And a lot of people, I guess, maybe felt the need to do that, or just felt like they had to have like a formed opinion after 1 year on whether this was going to work or whether it wasn't going to. I don't know. I know patience is a lost virtue these days, but I preach patience when Mack Rhoades is here, and I'm not saying that's going to be the case this time around, but I get the same vibes. I think Dave Aranda knows football as well as anyone. I think he knows relationships as well as anybody as well. I think he's got an incredible coaching staff that he's putting together that's already far further along than the staff that they had last year. And they have a lot more freedom than they had last year, and that's part of the reason why. But I just think the personalities already seem to mix better. I think the talent's out there on the field. They simply have just struggled mightily on offense. And I really do think if they can just get that a little bit better this year, which I expect they will be a little bit better, then that's going to go a really long way. They're building, and I know people are tired of Baylor building, but Dave Aranda is not somebody that we're hearing about the Carolina Panthers job or the Jets job. I think he's here to build, and we're seeing pretty good bricks being laid down right now.
Yeah, and I do think that people sometimes assume things are better when a coach takes over than they actually are. I think it certainly happened to Matt Rhule, as everybody thought that Matt Rhule was taking over a team. It's like they forgot that the team lost 6 games in a row the year before he took over, and then that they didn't have any offensive linemen, and they thought, oh, the cupboard's full. Like, no, it's not anymore. There's things that have happened. And with Dave Aranda, things have happened, and the weakest position on the team with even totally healthy with someone in the week, the offensive line was the first one that got waylaid with COVID. And so who knows? So all those things happened. Plus, he didn't get to meet him in person until the first day of practice. I mean, all these weird things happen.
Yeah, you remember my tweet during spring drills, an open practice, when he met with like 40 to 80 parents. It may have been 30 or 25. I don't know. And I asked him in a text, when was the last time you did that? And he said, I haven't.
Yeah.
That was during the early parts of spring drills and an open practice at McLean Stadium, that he had not been in front of the families. That's crazy. And he had been hired 12 or 13 months before that.
Yeah, I mean, that's insane to not know your players' parents or to really even know your players all that well initially. So, yeah, there were a lot of obstacles. I mean, I look forward to the day, and I think we're kind of there now where we can stop reflecting so much on last year, but you kind of have to with this particular question. So, yeah, I'm interested to hear what people have to say because I'm optimistic about the direction they're going. I didn't put too much weight in the record last year. I thought you saw signs of things to be positive about, and I just think there were a lot of negatives that were kind of lingering. The whole Charlie Brewer situation, I don't care what anybody says. This is not anti-Charlie at all, and this is not even about, him as a player or anything, but, that was just toxic. That just became so toxic, Charlie Brewer at quarterback. And, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't Aranda's fault. It's not even entirely the fans' fault. Everybody had their reason to be stressed out over that, but I think that alone is just something that alleviates a lot of the kind of going on. I think John Lovett clearly wasn't happy last year. I think getting him out of the locker room, as much of a locker room leader as he was and a workout warrior, and as much as I think he'd probably thrive in this offense, he obviously wasn't a fit anymore. He had become a square peg in a team full of round holes. So, I think just exits alone can help you heal a little bit as well. And again, it's nothing against those guys. It's just it wasn't a fit anymore for them. And so I think there's more of a fit across the team perhaps now as well, which we could potentially see this season.
All right, let's go to the phones. Ryan and Mart, I believe. It's Ryan and Mart. You're on SicEm365 Radio.
Hey, guys. Listen, I had some time to think about it, and I talked with the offensive coordinator at Mart High School, Coach Thompson, and he agrees with me that y'all in the media are hating on my hometown. I've lived in Mart my entire life, and I've never seen or heard them talked about on this show. Matt Mosley refuses to talk about us, but I can't trust a hack to cover Central Texas high school sports well. At least Smokey has been kind to our city, but for all we do for the Central Texas with trucks and garbage, cattle, and fresh produce, we should be the main topic of every episode of this show. Smokey, come on, please keep us in mind when
I'm calling. Here, you know what I'm going to do just for you because you are resilient. And maybe a little wrong in some of what you've accused us of, but that's fine. We love your attitude. I'm calling Kevin Hoffman and getting him on this show.
Today?
Today.
Okay.
Is that good enough?
Oh, my goodness. I'm honored to do that.
Is that customer service for you? Because I'm kind of getting tired of it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put. Go ahead.
I know Coach Thompson is really proud of all the guys, but with Keyshawn, Carter, Clater, the Medlock brothers, the Lundys returning, I think we have a shot at a state dynasty. What do you guys think?
They have a state dynasty, and last year, of course, it was the shocking loss to Windthorst that didn't continue it as they were trying to run the table, and they will be right in the middle of that mix again. There's no question about it. No question. And Keyshawn, Clater, as you mentioned, and they're just one after another. By the way, just for your knowledge, in the playoffs, every week, if I or we don't have a team that we are broadcasting, and even sometimes when we do, I do get Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, a box of it, and I take it to a program, and I took it to Mart as one of my trips last year during the state playoffs. So we have a great relationship.
We did a segment with Hoffman every week.
No, we do. And we will. And he's having fun with us. I think he's just and by the way, we love all your comments.
I like it better than the phone call we ended the damn show with yesterday.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean you probably didn't sleep well last night.
Nope.
You didn't?
No. I didn't.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the call. Call and text Kevin Hoffman. All right. I'm going to put this up on Twitter. Has the recent Baylor recruiting surge and momentum given you more confidence going forward in Dave Aranda and the program? That doesn't mean you didn't have confidence. It's for those who perhaps were a little bit shaky, and understandably so. But I think you're starting to see this turn the corner. 254-339-1122. Now, they have to go out and do it on the field. They have to go win the games they're supposed to win and maybe steal a game or two as well. Jack, do we have Max Scherzer? Do you want to do that now or the next segment, Paul?
Let's do it now.
So the Nationals are playing the Phillies, and we know all this new rule, baseball and the sticky gorilla tape or whatever it's called. And in baseball now, from the commissioner, check them. Go check the pitchers. And it's getting to be, as Craig said, it's not almost a mockery. It's a mockery of the game. It's embarrassing the game. So Max Scherzer takes off his glove, his cat. You got take it off his belt.
Well, it's because, you got to explain. Like,
Girardi has asked him to go check him.
No, 3 times.
Yeah. I mean, this was over. This was not his initial reaction. This was the 3rd time this had happened, and he's in the middle of, like, pitching. He's, like, in the middle of an inning, and they come at him again to check his stuff, and he finally had enough, and he's staring down Girardi. Girardi's staring him down. Girardi starts to come out of the dugout eventually as Scherzer's finally, like, wrapping up his rant. And even the announcers say, like, he's got to kind of, towards the end, they're like, all right, Max, you probably need to calm down a little bit, be smart about it, because it was tense. And, yeah, I mean.
And Girardi was over the line, not by asking, because that's what the commission, they've given him that authority. But what happened is Girardi starts coming out of the dugout because Scherzer basically points him out and calls him out, which I would have as well. And Girardi wants to come up like a musclehead on the beach or something like that.
Well,
and kind of charge at Scherzer. What an idiot!
3 times is excessive, and it's gamesmanship.
And I like Girardi.
It's gamesmanship. But if I'm a player, here's the thing: when Max Scherzer's pitching, and the manager makes him mad, if I'm anybody that's walking up right after that, I'm like, God. What did you do to me, Joe? Like, I mean,
Scherzer.
So tell me how this makes sense. So Scherzer got randomly checked after the 1st inning, after the 3rd inning, and then with 1 out in the 4th inning. So he's been checked 3 times through 3 1/3 of a ball game. Would you not be pissed off? Would you not be upset?
My question is, what did Manfred allow to happen? Every inning, 5 times, unlimited?
Yeah, basically Rob Manfred's view on things is, well, that way people will stop talking about it.
Well, now they are talking about it even more so.
Yeah.
All right.
But then.
Well, ahead.
Sergio Romo.
So this is the Rangers and A's. Sergio Romo's coming off the mound. And I think he'd given up a home run in this inning. He's with the Oakland Athletics. And here's a video of Romo coming off the mound, and an umpire. I thought the umpire was great. Do we have that, Jack? It's not loading? Okay. All right, when it loads, you got to see it because I love it. And what I also love, unlike the College World Series, the umpire who lost his composure against Tennessee and really against both Texas and Tennessee in a way, who became the game, became the story early on. The umpire, you could almost see like, okay, I'm sorry, okay, don't take off your pants. I mean, Romo, and you'll see it, and the umpire's smiling, and Romo's kind of smiling, yet he's also upset, and it didn't get out of hand, where they both handled it pretty well. So I don't get this. Now there is a machine that leads me to this. This is from Bob Nightingale, great writer for the USA Today. They have a machine called the Ball Mutter. You heard about this, Paul?
I know there's a machine called the Ball Mutter.
There's a machine called the Ball Mutter who can take 240 baseballs and rub them down. Here we go. Okay, here's Romo. He's tired of it. Belt, got going through TSA pre-check. Boom, there goes the pants. And the umpire's like, oh, come on, man. Don't. He got his glove.
Well, you're putting the umpires in a messed up situation, too, because now there's all this, aggression with the players, and, they're just doing what they're supposed to be doing in some instances. And I know he feels like, hey, it's kind of ridiculous, but I don't blame the players for also responding this way. I mean, it's got to be annoying as all get out. I mean, especially Scherzer 3 times in less than 4 innings, you're having to get checked. I mean, come on now.
It's crazy.
I mean, and this is what they did by doing this in the middle of the season, which is what we heard from players when they came out with the whole spider tack talk and, like, we got to do something about this. Well, like, right now, though, like, why in the middle of the year? And there was the whole rant about how you might cause injuries because now the grip on the ball is different for pitchers. And various things were said about why this was a bad idea. So now we're in the middle of the baseball season. We're not even at the All-Star break yet. And, just last night, there's 2 instances of pitchers, basically ripping their clothes off to prove to umpires that they're not using anything that's an illegal substance. I just don't know how this is good for the game in any way. I think cracking down is good, but I question the timing. I question Major League Baseball's intent because they knew all this was going on to begin with, but now they're acting as though they're the police and trying to curb it when you were the ones that allowed it to happen the entire time, but now you're acting like the...
You mean like steroids?
Exactly. Yeah, they're doing this. It's the whole steroid thing all over again, just on a lesser level. I don't think nearly as many people care about this as they cared about the steroid era. But yeah, it's baffling that Major League Baseball has bungled this, and maybe not, given some decisions they made in the past, but they've certainly bungled this so far.
The baseball machine, the Mutter, It can apply mud to a night's worth of baseballs, about 240 balls in 54 minutes. It can even disinfect the baseballs with an infrared light. And it's just, every stadium would have one. When they go home, they put them in like almost like incubating eggs. And
Is
somebody's
there
there.
just a way to change the baseball? Like, why do we have to apply all this stuff to the baseball? Why can't you just change the baseball?
There's something about it used to, the umpires.
I mean, you get a brand new baseball now. It is slick. Like it is. No, it is like it's
supposed to be rubbed down with certain type of
baby oil or something.
With
I mean,
mud.
Right? It's slick as all get out. I know you can't. I mean, like maybe you can rough the ball up so where it's not silky smooth. I don't know. I know everybody's got their own thing. We're talking about the ball mutter machine and I don't know. I just feel like there's probably a simpler way, but that's an interesting way of, I guess, trying to fix things.
Listen, Craig, don't get simple. Don't get in the way of competitive commerce. The ball mutter people, I mean, they're out here trying to make money.
Yeah, they are.
It's just another,
you just have a guy that rubs mud on the baseballs.
From TJ on the text line, 254-339-1122, on a couple of different things and a couple of reactions on the Dave Aranda question. The only thing that could have made that better last night is if Scherzer would have put Girardi's teeth down his throat. I cannot stand him. That's from TJ. Mike, what is so boggling about the recruiting process being had by this staff is that it follows a 2-win season. It means this staff is made up of some superior salespeople, persons who are selling, and recruits are buying the program. Also from the 864, I wouldn't say my opinion has changed on the football staff for Coach Aranda. I was ecstatic about him from the start. If something is a bit of surprise, is the volume of the high-level recruits that want to play for him. We have usually relied more on diamonds in the rough we developed. This is quite exhilarating.
Yeah.
Thank you, the 864.
Yeah, I mean, I think Baylor is a program that should, with their place in the hierarchy, thrive on being a developmental institution from the standpoint of make that your bread and butter, that guys come here and they're going to develop and they're going to be better players when they leave than they were before they arrived. And not a lot of schools can say that, quite frankly. There are a lot of guys who, look at Texas. I mean, I use them as an example because they popped to mind first as far as having underachievers. For all the talk about big recruiting classes and this and that, it doesn't translate to the NFL draft. So somewhere in that process of them committing and then leaving, something's not being done. Now, that probably will change with Sarkisian, but we saw Matt Rhule develop players, and that pays off in the long run. I think Dave Aranda's doing the same thing, and it will pay off in the long run. You got to build, you got to develop, and that's like right up this coaching staff's alley. They love to coach. It's very clear they love to coach, and I think they kind of like to recruit too, and that's a great thing because I don't know the last staff. I mean, I think the Browl staff enjoyed recruiting, but it was a lot different back then too. I mean, there wasn't all this stuff, transfer portal and everything going on, but they had some success. Rhule, they had success. I don't know how much he enjoyed it, but this staff seems to really be into recruiting, and they've found, I think with guys like Brian Nance behind the scenes, I think they're kind of unheralded heroes in some ways. They found a way to have a unique relationship building process with these players that I think that's why you're seeing a lot of these commitments happening.
I'm being told as well that what they were able to do, and this is not to overrate anybody. Brian Nance, of course, has found his niche, but not to overrate anybody. And by the way, North Texas is watching Brian Nance from what I'm being told. Watching him, that might be somebody they got to protect from North Texas because of the connection now with Bennett.
So Phil Bennett's going to be a pest for this guy.
Yeah, he might be. The James Blanchard connection. The staff they have, the ones they have now, trust him, believe in him, and listen to him. And that's not always, I'm not saying that was because Matt Rhule really liked James Blanchard. Matt Rhule brought him to Carolina. But there might have been a year there where it wasn't quite, like he wasn't there. And he left because they weren't so sure. And don't underestimate that. But also, the ones that are some of the new coaches, Chancey Stuckey, Eric Mateos, Jeff Grimes, and obviously Curtis as well. These guys love this, and there's a great rapport between these coaches. And it's not because they're getting commitments. It's because of how many more they might get.
Yeah, and, like I said, just having Mateos alone on the offensive line, wanting to recruit and, enjoying it, I think makes a huge difference. Again, Wickline, we never really could tell because I never even saw the guy. Like, I might have, but I don't recall. He certainly wasn't out recruiting. Prior to that, Randy Clements, I don't think he really hung his hat on being a recruiter. I think he was more of an identifier and a developer than he was like go out and get the big fish type of guy, although they did start to get, the Patrick Hudsons there towards the end, and they, got Drango at one point, but they really got more unheralded guys and developed them. Now, you got a staff full of recruiters across the board that all seem to enjoy it, seem to love it, and seem to do pretty well with it. And I think that could pay giant dividends. And, yeah, they're in a really good groove right now.
I had a high school coach tell me, I sent an email out, I could do that in that little boom, send it out. And tell me about the new coach. I asked him about the new ones. They said Eric Mateos is a grinder when it comes to the recruiting trail. And all coaches are in certain ways. Hey, also, have you seen the new Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine? We got a little chunk. I almost killed Hayden when I threw one his way. I have not really looked through it much, and it's something that I need to have some peace and quiet.
What does it look like? I don't know with the Texas Football Magazine. Yeah, it's right here.
All right, so look on the inside flap.
Yeah.
Scott Surratt. Look at that picture with him. Which one is it? Right there?
Yep.
It's got him with all the rings, just one championship after another. And, of course, last year they won another. And that's cool that they got, and there's some customized ones you can get as well. But that was great to see Carthage's Scott Surratt.
I got excited and choked up.
When I mention rings?
I do. I get nervous.
Any rings?
Yeah, any kind of rings.
All right, when we come back, we continue with this conversation. Appreciate those of you on the text line. I'm going to try to see if we can calm down the Mark community, see if Kevin Hoffman's available. I don't know, Paul. You want to just call him? Just randomly call him and say, hey,
I do not.
Do you like us?
You
I don't know how Kevin Hoffman would take that, but I would be really ticked off if you did that to me. Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand that. I really, really do.
Well, you mean one day he sent his wife to be on the air with us because he was, media blackout. So.
Well, yeah, he was kind of was letting her be the spokesperson for a while. One other note, when we do come back, and TJ has sent another text on the Baylorman recruiting, the Japanese fans and the Olympic Games are going to have 10,000 fans who can be there. But there's something they're not allowed to do, and I don't know how that's possible, even as polite as the Japanese fans and community and society can be, because I lived there 4 years, and it's not changed much. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco, a hidden gem. Find out more about them on Facebook and Instagram. Look, if you're a craft beer fan, you need to check out their walk-in fridge. They are always turning the bottom of the roster or the top of the roster or the whole roster of craft beers there, depending on the season. It's unbelievable. Steve, he'll usually send me a list at the beginning of every season of all the different beers he has in there, and it's like 50 deep. He rolls them out. And then they're constantly churning and churning and churning. So if you're a fan of craft beer, go to Riverbend Liquor and Wine and check out what they've got. If you're a fan of Balcones, they've got great, single barrel Balcones releases that they do from time to time. They probably still have some of that left. They get the first releases from Balcones all the time, sometimes before anybody else does in the area. Great selection of wine, great selection of everything else, and great customer service in a drive-through window. That speed will just knock your socks off. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
All right. Couple more text line responses. Thank you very much. 254-339-1122. TJ. TJ's active today. TJ, we appreciate it. Baylor will be fine, I think, a good amount better than they would have been with Rule. The signings will be better. The defense will be better. The offense, I think, will do plenty to win, but defense is what they will be about. It's going to be all right. And also, I agree, Rule wasn't interested in staying. That's not a bad thing. He had a plan. It worked. I had mentioned if Rule had stayed last year, they may have kept 2 or 3 or 4 players who left for whatever reasons, the NFL or elsewhere. And I think they would have found a way to be able to manage what Charlie Brewer can or cannot do. And I think that would have been a team that was 5-4, 6-3. They would have found a way. I'm not saying it would have been easy. And they won games the year before that led to that Sugar Bowl in which they could have lost 2 or 3 games just as well. But they found a way.
I definitely would have won a couple more games last year.
Yeah,
I have no doubt in my mind. But, I mean, ultimately, what would that have done? I mean, they weren't going to a bowl game anyways. You know, I mean, I'm not advocating for having the season they had, but if he sticks around for one more year and then leaves anyways, like, what is it really – you know what I mean? Like, I think it was almost better that he left before the pandemic so that Dave Aranda had as difficult of his year as he had, so that now they're going into this year and it's like, man, this is great. Like, not everything's on lockdown. We can actually talk to people. So I think the timing of it was actually beneficial. And had Rule stuck around through that last year, yeah, I think it would have been kind of a weird hiring cycle.
By the way, the one about static about him from the start on Aranda was Barry, our good friend Barry, who was on the text line with us as well. Also, on the Twitter timeline, when I put the poll up, 53 votes, 83%, they are now more confident going forward with Dave Aranda and the program, 17% no. Just 53 votes, but not bad for, I mean, a matter of just about 15 minutes. And from Chris, who's a trainer, not yet Smoak, the dust must settle in the final rankings before passing judgment. Well, I guess we're talking about recruiting rankings.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
Because there's a lot of big boy schools that will jump ahead of them in the end.
I mean, yeah, it's like, I'm excited about the 2023 commit, but also at the same time, that's a long ways away. So now the story will become, keeping that commitment and fighting to hold on to it. But I have no problem with people who want to actually see the final results and not celebrate the not so final results.
So the Olympic Games in Tokyo. I lived in Tokyo and in that area at the Air Force bases near them for 4 years and loved every minute I was there. The number will be capped at 50% of the venue capacity. Somewhere around 10,000 will be the maximum, depending on where they're being held, right? Fans will not be required to show a negative COVID test. They will be required to wear masks. Japanese wore masks when I was living there a long time ago because of the smog or pollution. Shouting, cheering, and even speaking in loud voices will be prohibited. What?
That's been going on in Japan for months now. Pro wrestling's been back there for a few months, and they've had smaller crowds, and they all wear their masks, and they clap, and that's all. And here's the thing, is Japanese crowds are entirely different from what we think of with American crowds anyways. They do not respond to everything. They don't hoop and holler. They're very respectful. They don't, they're not going to hear a lot of trash talking from the fans during an event. They kind of just like what they like, and they absorb it, and then they cheer what they, respect or what they find exciting, but they don't. It's not like an NBA game or an NFL game. It's entirely different to begin with. But since COVID, they've brought some fans back to some of these events, and it's very quiet. And, if there's a big spot or something, you'll hear, and they'll hear the clap. But there has not been any yelling. That's been in place. And so, I guess they're just spreading it to the Olympics.
Now, their baseball fans can get to be, it can be fun now. They got the whistles, the bells, the whatever. They got it going in the stands in baseball. But, I have not seen, I guess, many of the
You haven't been watching a lot of Japanese wrestling?
No, I missed those.
Yeah.
If not for Kazuchika Okada, I wouldn't have either. But, no, I have seen a little bit of it. And I was curious, too, because they have been having problems. And they were actually far more strict on when they allowed it to come back to begin with. And they were far more strict about fan capacity and what fans were allowed to do. And, it's weird, though, when you look in a Japanese crowd, there's not a bunch of chairs. It's they sit on mats, in certain sections. That's part of the culture there. So it's just kind of different to begin with. But yeah, that's been, it's not as bad as you think, but it certainly does take away some of just the constant buzz and excitement and things that you hear. So that will be sort of odd for the Olympic events, I would think.
All right, when we come back, the 4 o'clock hour includes Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at 420, Matthew Meyer, Baylor senior forward or guard or whatever you want to call him. He's coming back for another year. He'll join us at 5. We'll have Cowboys Talk with Jon Machota, theathletic.com at 5:20. We'll continue this topic as well with you on Baylor and recruiting and Dave Aranda and his staff. And what do you see, or how do you what do you feel is one of the differences besides the obvious? They can sit in front of somebody and get to know them and have dinner and meet the parents and talk and have official and unofficial visits. That's what they can do. In fact, Isaiah Crawford from Post had an unofficial visit, class of 2023, and then he goes home and he commits to Joey McGuire and Baylor. 254-339-1122, SicEm365 Radio.
Travel is back. Hit the road with big savings during the summer savings event at Richard Carr. The road is waiting. Explore America again in the space, safety, and luxury of a Buick SUV. And during the Richard Carr summer savings event, current Buick or GMC owners get 16% off a new 2021 Buick Encore, 13% on Encore GX, 9% on midsize Buick Envision, or 13% on a full-size Buick Enclave. Summer travel is back at the summer savings event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Looking to get to the edge, and he gets there. There goes Abner into plus territory. One man to beat. How about a Baylor touchdown to open our second half? 100 yards to the house.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Mack Rhoades at 420. Mike George is on a rampage from Dayton, Texas, on the Astros. Because I'm watching you guys on the big screen. Remember, he sent the picture, I think, back in the day that when we went YouTube. He is reminding me the Astros have won 9 straight. 19 games ahead of the Rangers. 45-28, now a game ahead of the Oakland Athletics. And I have tried to tell him I don't believe him. But they are rolling.
Yeah, I just don't care that much. I mean, honestly, as a Rangers fan, baseball is one of those things where, especially with what's going on right now, I got to have a vested interest. And the team that I have rooted for my entire life is awful. I mean, they are terrible. So my baseball interest right now, I'm still trying to keep track, but it's way down. I have seen the Astros are on a tear. That's great. See where it ends up at the end of the year, but they are playing some good ball right now.
Well, you just said last week that they'd eventually overtake the A's. We'll see what they do as they hit the halfway mark here pretty soon. Boston, the Red Sox have gotten a little bit feisty. Game and a half up on Tampa.
Yeah, and they're going to get Chris Sale back here soon. Yeah, so hopefully that's a shot in the arm.
Their players, they're cheating. White Sox have a 2.5-game lead on Cleveland. And then the Mets are 4 up on everybody in the division, including Atlanta, Philadelphia, Washington. Washington's starting to kind of get a little bit of momentum. But
you know what happened? All the articles started coming out about Washington should trade Max Scherzer because they're not very good. And then They're 4 games out.
Now, also the Cubs are tied with Milwaukee, 4 up on Cincinnati. San Francisco continues to just hold off the Dodgers, now 3 up. It's been that way now for a month or so. The Dodgers still 15 games above 500. So that's where we are in baseball. And Mike, thank you for the Astros update. He just sent me a screenshot.
Yeah, they're good.
Smokey, I can tell you I have many friends inside and even close to the Clemson football team since I live in Greenville, South Carolina. I don't think most Baylor fans know what a gem they have in Chancey Stuckey, and he's only going to get better. And, yeah, we heard great things. It was great to get Chancey on the show when he was hired by Baylor, and he's another one that's making a difference on that staff when it comes to recruiting. And I think the young players and prospects are listening to him as well.
Yeah, I mean, clearly with Jordan Neighbors committing, they're listening somewhat. And, yeah, I mean, kind of keep saying it, but there's great coaching staff that loves to recruit, and he's one of them along with Mateos, and they're doing a good job.
Well, and if you look, Dave Aranda comes to the program from LSU where he in Wisconsin where he was hunting whales when he was there. He wasn't, I think that's one thing that people forget, even though it's his first head coaching job. His job as defensive coordinator at Wisconsin and LSU was to go hunting for whales and go get those big time prospects. That's what he was supposed to do. So that's what he did. So it's not like you just turn that off because you're at Baylor.
Yeah, I'm telling you, one of the keys, if it all works out, is the transfer of Siaka Ika. Not only solidifies what they need on defense on the line, but also the possibility that they opened up a pipeline, including the Miley, the offensive lineman who we had on Monday, and who knows what that might lead to. But LSU is going to have certain dogs when it comes to what they have on defense. Wisconsin's always been fundamentally just really, really good on defense. And Dave Aranda's been a part of that, and now he wants to do that. And then, again, last year's defense, until Oklahoma State when they were trashed, they were gassed, and I mentally, physically, whatever, and Oklahoma State just destroyed them. That was, I would think, the abomination. I think that was the exception to who they are going to be. And I think by then that team, the Baylor team, was looking for the end of the line, and they had a game to go. And that game almost reminded me, not as dark a night, don't get me wrong, not as dark of a day, but that almost reminded me of getting just hammered the way they did against TCU back in 2016.
I think one of the worst games was the Texas Tech game at the end of the 2016 year. That, to me, was the one that was like – just rock bottom, because it was the end of the year. They were going to a bowl game, unfortunately, because I don't want to speak for everybody, but I wanted the season to be over after that game, because I was like, I'm done with this. I'm tired of all this arguing and fighting and headlines and everything. It's just like, let those coaches go somewhere else and hit the reset button. And luckily that bowl game actually ended up being a good experience, and it was great they could go out with a win. But, I mean, that Texas Tech game when Patrick Mahomes just basically played a no-name defense and threw for 1 billion yards, and Baylor really had no response. Like, that was atrocious to watch. Meanwhile, the wife of an assistant coach who's on the sideline coaching during the game is talking about how he's already looking at job offers. And, that was ridiculous. And that was a low point for me. That TCU game was another one. I mean, there's been a few for sure. And Oklahoma State was the one last year, but that was another one. That was like that Tech feeling of like, let's just get this over with and just go to the offseason and fix things in the offseason, because this right here is not working the way that it's set up.
Paul, if you can shortly, because I want to get to Davion Mitchell on ESPN last night right before the lottery, and then Mack Rhoades at 4:20, Matthew Meyer at 5. Mark Emmert released some sort of a note today on national name, image, and likeness and the Alston opinion from the Supreme Court. Can you summarize it quickly?
So basically, Mark Emmert says that now that they've lost this case, as if they expected to win it, that they have a working group that can put interim rules in by July, which I don't know if he knows when July is.
It's in 2 weeks.
It's in a week.
No, I'm sorry. It's next week.
It's
like next week.
He has
it's like
8 days.
It's like you're playing around at golf and you're on 17 and you have to make up 4 shots and you can't because there's only 1 hole left.
Yeah. I'm not surprised that Mark Emmert doesn't know when July is. I don't think Mark Emmert knows where anything.
You know what he knows? The $3 million every year in his bank account. Isn't that what he makes or something like that? Maybe more?
That's what I could do that. Look, here's the thing. NCAA, $1,500,000. Right now, I do that job. I do slightly better.
No, you're asking for too much.
I mean, he did lay out a few points in there, though, that he feels clearly are beneficial to the NCAA. I mean, the language still, ties compensation to education. So it's not, again, like you can just go out and just make all the money in the world, like just willy-nilly with no
and not go to class
parameters. Yeah, and did not go to class at all. Like there still has to be the educational aspect to it. So I think the NCAA sees that as a win. They still have some control on the type of rules they're going to set. Hopefully they do. Hopefully they don't sit around on their hands and wait for, another time line to pass and then, rely on the government to make another decision for them, because that's basically been their game plan all along is let's put this out there. Let's have them tell us why it's not right and what we do need to do. And the next time they tell us what we do need to do. And the next time, because I don't feel like they've made really much progress. But his basic message was like, yeah, this was a loss in a way, but it's not entirely a loss because it's still some elements that are NCAA friendly, I suppose.
So somewhat still sticking his head in the sand in some ways. All right, Mack Rhoades in the next segment. But last night before the lottery, thanks to Derek Mitchell for sending this, I did not see it, but former Baylor star, Naismith Defensive Player of the Year, Davion Mitchell on ESPN about the draft, the lottery, and his offseason.
A top 10 pick in Davion Mitchell. He had a stellar season with Baylor, led the Big 12 in both three-point field goal percentage and assists. The last player to do that was Kirk Heinrich in 01-02. Another strong part of Mitchell's game is his defense, though. He won the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year award, ranked second in steals in the Big 12. And Mitchell played a key role in the NCAA tournament, helping Baylor to secure the national championship. He recorded 16 assists in the final 4 games. That's the most any player has done it since 2005. And guess what, guys? Davion Mitchell is actually joining us right now on the show. Yes, thank you so much for joining. He's got a ball in his hands because he never lets it go.
In love with the game.
Yeah, he's obviously ready for the NBA draft. But Davion, I want people to understand your story. You started out at Auburn. You were averaging 3 points per game, 17 minutes. You were coming off the bench. You redshirt, sit out, then go to Baylor and win a national championship. What did you learn during your collegiate journey that's prepared you for this NBA draft?
Yeah, man, I think first thing I learned is I never stopped working throughout the whole journey and transferring and having to sit out and not playing as many minutes as I thought I should. But, I still kept working throughout that process, and I think that helped me a lot. And I think today it's carry on today. That's why I'm just blessed to be here. But, yeah, man, just the hard work, and the support system from my family, the coaches, and even the people at Auburn who supported me, even when I transferred, man. And I think that's what really helped me.
Davion, I talk to your head coach, Scott Drew, all the time, and I've seen how much you've improved offensively, my man. How do you feel when NBA experts, compare you to defensive specialists in the draft as it relates to NBA comps like Patrick Beverly or Avery Bradley?
Man, for me, I think I'm just blessed just to put my name in those conversations, man, because those guys are really good players. No matter who it is, you're always going to get compared to whoever it is. I get compared to Donovan Mitchell and Patrick Beverly and all those other people, but I think for me, I'm just going to play my game, and, whatever is best for me, I'm just keep playing me. But like I said before, I'm blessed to be compared to those people. I put in a lot of work for this moment here.
Davion, you just mentioned Donovan Mitchell. You certainly share a last name with him. You wore his number at Baylor, 45, and you built a relationship with him. How has he helped you prepare for what's ahead in the NBA?
Man, him and Chris Paul helped me out a lot. Those guys are really good players. They just don't talk to me about basketball. They talk to me about the mental side of the game, and I think that's what really helped me, what I need to put in my body to be successful and to help me throughout my NBA career. Because your body is the most important thing, I think. So just talking to them, I try not to talk to them as much because, they're in the playoffs and they've been playing a lot, and I know everyone's trying to talk to them. So I try not to ask too many questions, but when I get a chance, man, they give me the best wisdom ever. I'm thankful to have those people around me to be able to talk to them every day.
Davion, congratulations being a part of this process, and whatever you do not wear red gaiters. That's my advice. The second thing, what sparked your improvement as it related to your three-point shot, because you had a remarkable jump this season?
I mean, I think for me, I think I could always shoot. It's just the matter of the confidence. Came in, I knew after my sophomore year I could shoot it. I mean, it was just a lot of work that's put in. I think for sure a lot of those nights in the gym where I put up a lot of shots, even off the bounce and catch and shoot. A lot of those times, I'm just in there just working on my shot and even just watching films on people shooting. It wasn't just working on my shot. It was just watching how Steph Curry or all those great shooters position the ball with their hands at the ball so I get great rotation. I mean, it's a lot of things that helped me throughout this college year for me to shoot like that. So, yeah, I think that's what it was.
Davion, I'm going to brag on you since you're not going to do it on yourself, but I know you were a part of the 4 a.m. crew. Okay, guys, he was showing up at the facility, getting extra workouts in. At night, he was coming back, and he was making sure he hit 300 threes.
I was just coming in when I was in college.
And that's why Davion's over there getting ready to be drafted. He's not going to wear the red gaiters, the whole thing. But the last question I have for you, okay, they gave you a key to the city in a parade when you won the national championship in Hinesville, Georgia.
Deserved.
What do you get if you win an NBA championship? I just want you to shout out your city.
Man, shout out to Hinesville, Georgia, man, small city, close to Savannah. But yeah, man, it's an amazing feeling. Those guys supported me throughout my whole journey. I'm just blessed to have the keys to the city and just blessed to be a part of it, man. But yeah, shout out to them, and hopefully I can inspire the little kids down there in that small city to make sure just putting in the work, no matter where you are. I think it's going to show if you just put in the work.
All right, Davion Mitchell, he's got the keys just in general to life. Congratulations on a great college career, and we're looking forward to seeing where you end up in the NBA draft.
Good luck, brother.
All right, good luck, Davion.
No.
So that was last night. Prior to the draft lottery, Davion Mitchell's been projected anywhere between 5, 6, or 7 in that neighborhood. He could drop a couple of spots. Golden State has the 7th overall pick.
I'd say 5 to 10 is where you're looking at Davion. And, yeah, the mocks that I've seen, I looked at probably a handful of them last night. Pretty much every one of them had him going to Golden State right there between 5 and 10, so that wouldn't be bad at all.
When we come back, we reintroduce ourselves to Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, SicEm365 Radio.
Well, travel is back, and so are the savings during the summer savings event at Richard Carr Motors. A lot of people are getting back on the road, maybe going cross-country, maybe going cross-state. That's a long enough trip as it is, and especially with this heat outside and just the miles you're going to be churning up on these hot roadways, you want to have a car that is reliable. You want to have a car that's comfortable. You want to have a car that's got some space for the family, cram on the vehicles, everybody's hot, tired. Nah, you want to feel good when you're out there traveling the highways and byways. So with travel back and savings back, get on the road with some space, some safety, and some luxury, and you can do that in a Buick. Richard Carr has Buick SUVs, and they're all priced to move. Current Buick or GMC owners get 16% off new 2021 Encores, 13% on Encore GXs, 9% on midsize Buick Envisions, or 13% on full-size Buick Enclaves. And if buying, brand new is not really in your wheelhouse right now, well, don't fret, because they still have plenty of premium pre-owned cars and trucks as well. All of them priced to move during the summer savings event. Multiple cars and trucks priced under $230 a month for qualified buyers, and each pre-owned goes through a 172-point inspection before it even hits their lot. And with dozens of lenders, Richard Carr says yes when others say no. 100% credit approval is always their goal. Richard Carr is your local hometown dealership, so give them a chance to earn your business with free oil changes on new cars and trucks, great prices, of course, and superior service after the sale. So come by and take a test drive, or let them bring the test drive to you. It's a summer savings event going on all month at Richard Carr.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhoades is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Last time I saw Mack Rhoades, which is like Valentine's Day, whenever it was, he had this beard. He was introducing somebody. I think it might Nicky Collin. And by God, I bet like now he's got this caveman look. It's been so long. So, do you still have it going? Hi, Mack. How you doing? Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor. How we doing?
Hey, Smoak. Special thank you to you for allowing me to come back on the show again.
Yeah.
I've tried. And I'm just grateful that you allowed me to come back on. So
well, we
yes,
thought
I have the
yeah,
through end of July. That will mark a year, and then we may make a change.
Okay, all right. We're glad you're back. We hope that I know, and I know you've been pushing, and there's always something that pops up as well. Thanks for being a part of it. A lot of things to get to since the last time we spoke with you, including the college football playoff expansion, the NIL, the Supreme Court ruling. Let's start with the college football playoff expansion.
Yeah, I think it's just overall general viewpoint. I think it's positive for.
Okay. May have been disconnected, and see if we can get Mack back on again. And the answer of coming about college football playoff and his thoughts about it, going from what is 4 right now and moving on pretty quickly, although it still may take a few years, but just the fact that they are basically all full go with the college football playoff expansion from 4 to 12. And we'll try to establish again with Mack Rhoades. Normally Tuesdays at 4:20. This week at here at 4:20 on SicEm365 Radio. So, but think about a lot of things that have changed since the last time we did have him on, and all of these things I mentioned are new. Every one of them is new news, updated news, and we'll try to reestablish with Mack again. By the way, you could still get on the poll, 254-339-1122, your thoughts about Baylor recruiting and Dave Aranda. Has it changed and or validated your opinion on him from day one? And also on the Twitter poll, at David Smoak, there's a poll going on, and right now 80% or so of you say that you have, in fact, been kind of given a little kick in the pants, an adrenaline rush with the football recruiting the way it's going, the positivity. Back with Mack Rhoades again. Back to the college football playoff expansion. Good news, good thing. Your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I think really good news. I think it's positive for college football, and I think well thought out. Again, I was talking about the working group and the 4 individuals, the 3 commissioners, and Jack Swarbrick, and so Commissioner Bowlesby and Sankey and Thompson, and so I thought very, very thoughtful. Obviously, took the next step yesterday with the board of managers, the 11 presidents, chancellors. Approving, going on to the summer review and detail. But again, I think it will speak well for college football. I think as you wind down and you're playing in November, there's just more teams that are part of the conversation. And you think in regards to Baylor specifically, the 2019 season where I think we were ranked maybe 5th or 6th coming out of the championship game, we would have participated, in the college football playoff. The whole TCU Baylor controversy, there wouldn't have been any controversy. Would have been in the CFP playoff, and I think it's great for the Big 12. Many years the Big 12 would have 2 in, and I think as I look back, there may have even been a year or 2 where we may have had 3 in, and so I think it's positive. The value on conference champions, I think, was huge, right? The six highest ranked conference champions, and then the 6 highest, other teams as selected, ranked by the CFP selection committee. So all good stuff. The bye for 1 through 4, the matchups. I think there needs to be some thought in terms of those first round matchups. 5 through 12 on home campuses. That might be the exactly right way to do it. Those 8 teams won't necessarily have a bowl type experience. So I think there needs to be conversation, both the visiting and home team. And so, I think, some thought and some conversation about that. Obviously, if you play in the conference championship and you don't win it, and so now you're 5 through 12, you could play as many as 17 games. And so there needs to be some additional discussion on student athlete, well-being, health and safety, the whole academic component to this. You're probably kicking off those first round games in mid-December. So again, a lot of detail to be worked out. I think we're entering the 8th year of a 12-year contract. When does this happen? I've got some personal thoughts. I think, potentially if you're ESPN, you don't want this going to the open market, and you might want to keep it all to yourself. Well, if you want to do that, you probably have to come in with a really, really robust offer if they do that. And again, the board of managers feel like it's substantial, and so it's going to stay completely with ESPN. Maybe this starts, sooner rather than later versus, getting to year 12 and then going to the open market. So a lot of stuff in play, but I think it's great for college football.
Mac, how much of this was pushed by the kind of fan fatigue of seeing the same 3 or 4 teams kind of cycle through the playoff, and how much of this was pushed by, look, COVID happened, there was a revenue drop, let's take a step forward to make sure that we do something that gets people excited again and can make up some of that revenue that maybe you'll never make back?
I think I'll start with the latter, Paul, and I think it's a great point that you bring up, but quite frankly, that point that you did bring up is the first time I've heard that, and so it wasn't a lot of conversation. Certainly within the AD group, that wasn't a point of discussion. And then I think the initial point that you made, this was a surprise to all of us. I mean, this was the best kept secret. I think all of us were, wow, 12, and we expected maybe 8, but not 12. And so when I first heard the news and learned of it, I really had to spend probably 24 hours processing and trying to figure out, is this good 12 versus 8? Does this really water it down? But Paul, I think to your first point, the expansion, more inclusivity, where you just have more fan bases excited about, the end of their season. They're still in play. They still have an opportunity to maybe have a chance to compete for a national championship. I think that's really healthy for our sport. Was the working group listening to maybe any public outcry in terms of that expansion? I don't know that's the case. I think they just really focused on what's really good for the overall long-term health of the sport.
Mac, there's been discussion now for a couple years. I mean, we brought it up with you before about the grant of rights agreements that'll be ending for various conferences here over the next 2-3 years and what that might lead into. But now with this expanded playoff, do you think this changes the outlook or the discussion about potential realignment here in the next few years?
Craig, that's a great question because I do think they're intertwined. I think there's a lot of different ways to look at it. So one of the things, right, is now the CFP has a bite at the apple before maybe Big Ten before maybe Pac-12 and before Big 12, and so how much money remains in the system? Is there enough money, right? Depending upon if we go to 12 and that new CFP TV agreement is like, and then, what remains and how that plays out for the rest of the conferences. Do you get increased revenue, as an institution through the CFP, or do you get it through, a new potential TV agreement, or do you get it through both? And I think that remains to be seen. I think just the fact that the CFP moving to 12 potentially brings more revenue into at least the Power 5 or the Autonomous 5 institutions, that may stabilize any type of conference realignment movement tied to grant of rights and TV agreements. And so I think it has the opportunity to provide stability. And initially when I think I commented, I do think this is really good for the Big 12.
Mac, because of what might alleviate the immediate pressure for realignment and what you just answered to Craig's question, I got the feeling on occasion that faith-based schools at times, maybe from cultural pressures, were kind of being pushed into trying to change some of their long-standing beliefs as far as their faith-based beliefs, and that maybe realignment would force some faith-based schools to change because of the pressures of being accepted. Has that ever been the case?
Man, that's an interesting question, and it's so hard for me to speak for and on behalf of other institutions, and so I don't know that that's right or fair of me to speak to, but what I will say is for Baylor, we're never going to compromise that faith base, our mission, our Christian values. And I do truly believe that there is a place for faith-based institutions for Baylor amongst the Power Five. And I think it's good for college athletics. And again, I just know that here we at Baylor are not going to compromise that. We're not going to shy away from it. We're not going to tone it down. It's who we are, and I think it's what makes us not better. Not going to say that, but it certainly makes us different, and hopefully it makes us grounded and genuine and focused on our mission of preparing champions for life, developing our young people, challenging them in every way to be the best they can be, including spiritually. And so I think there's a place for faith-based institution amongst the quote unquote elite, and I'm proud of how we're navigating that. I'm not going to tell you that we're perfect, but I'm proud of our head coaches and our staff and our student athletes.
All right, Mack, NIL has it's kind of grown some horns here. Or I don't know what's going on, on the end of the NCAA, because it seems like July 1st is bearing down on them, and they say that they have a potential plan to get it in place by July 1st, but if they don't, how does this go in Texas, Florida, and all these other places? And then what's to stop someone in another state from just taking a deal, knowing it's probably going to work out, and kind of daring the NCAA to suspend them?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's been extremely fluid. Certainly, the Supreme Court decision on the Austin case has maybe caused another pause, another delay. We'll see. The NCAA has been working for. I can't even recall the timeline, but it's certainly no shorter than a year, and it may be in upwards of 2 years of a framework of name, image, and likeness legislation, and I certainly think it's reasonable, and I'm hoping that here sooner rather than later the NCAA is able to implement that legislation. As the governor signed name, image, and likeness legislation. Governor Abbott did for the state of Texas. That begins July 1, and so we Baylor and I'm certain all the other institutions within the state of Texas are prepared and ready for that. Those institutions and states that don't have name, image, and likeness legislation on July 1, and maybe the NCAA hasn't implemented anything at that point in time, I do think they're going to have some leniency and some freedom for their student athletes to go ahead and pursue endorsements, etc., without any penalty. But for the good of our industry, for the good of the collegiate model, we do need to get everybody on the same page sooner rather than later. And so, as I think, as soon as the NCAA can pass and implement name, image, and likeness legislation across the board, where at least there's a level playing field for everyone. I think the sooner the better for all of us. So interesting time. It's really fluid. The conversations are. It's almost a little bit like dealing with COVID, just the uncertainty and trying to prepare. 8 different models and trying to have conversations with coaches and, well, we think this is what's going to happen, but until this happens, then we're going to do this. And if this changes, then we're going to change to that.
So, Mack, I think you kind of answered it, but just to be clear, when July 1st hits, you guys are going to be, ready to roll. I know A&M and Texas have already been kind of promoting their, they got it, unique names for whatever their thing is. But when July 1st hits, you guys are going to be ready to take on name, image, and likeness?
Yeah, we'll be completely prepared. We're going to handle it a little bit different, Craig. We're not like everybody else, and I'll say this: Baylor's not probably for everybody. We accept everybody, we love everybody, but it's not going to be for necessarily everyone. It's not for every coach. It's not for maybe every student athlete. We certainly want our student athletes and prospective student athletes to know and understand that their name, image, and likeness is important. And we want to help them and teach them to maximize that and learn about it. But the Baylor brand is also very, very important. We think we can do both. We can intertwine both. I think the thing for us is, we have what we call a Baylor Built program, our character formation program. So a lot of the things that schools are announcing and are talking about, whether that's personal finances and branding and all that, those are things that we have been doing already. And so we'll have a little additional element to it, to what we do, and we'll call it Baylor Built Plus. But we're going to be really genuine about it, and we want to be very, very careful in terms of me versus we, and our coaches are on board, and I believe our student athletes will be on board, and we're going to be, again, continue to be very, very thoughtful on how we do it, and we think it's a great opportunity to continue to educate our student athletes.
Mack, has there ever been a concern about the NIL? And you just really great answer based on a lot of what you mentioned there, because I learned a lot by just hearing that. But has there ever been a concern about the NIL being those who have 35 or 40,000 students in the cities that are different than maybe Waco? I mean, Waco, listen, this city does a lot with Baylor now. There's no question about it. But was there ever any concern it might separate the larger schools from the private schools, or even the smaller enrollment schools?
Yeah, I don't think so. Not in that regard. Smoak, I think where maybe some of the angst is the recruiting piece and the monitoring of it, and just making sure that there's guardrails for the recruiting piece, and then how do you monitor it? And so I think for me, if there's worry, it's always been in that particular area, and potential endorsement deals and those types of things. And so I'm at peace. Again, I think there's a uniqueness about Baylor, and we're gonna be fine, and we're gonna continue to fight, scratch, and claw. And as we don't have the biggest budget as many, but we find a way to get it done because we've got great people. So that's where I worry when we think about name, image, and likeness. I think in general, this can be be really positive. I think it's another opportunity to, and this is the way we look at it. It's another opportunity and a way to educate our young people. I think if there's been any additional worry to the recruiting piece is probably, do you have separation of student athletes within your own department and within your own athletics department? And so, how does that look and feel and work for the star, women's basketball player or men's basketball player or quarterback or baseball player versus, your everyday, maybe not star? And is there just so much attention and highlight that it breaks team chemistry, team dynamics? That's where I worry, and so that's where I think, and again, this remains to be seen, and I'm sure we're going to have to tweak and evolve and all of those things. That there is a place for your brand and how you enhance that and maximize it, but there's a way to do it within the team, and there's a way to do it under the Baylor brand umbrella, and so that's how we're trying to intertwine it. And again, who knows? We've never done this before. We think we have a really good plan in place, but I'm sure there's going to need to be some tweaks. And I think also in the end the market will correct itself. I mean, we'll go way out and then it will come back and settle. At a reasonable place. And, we want to be really genuine with our current student athletes and prospective student athletes that whatever they hear from us, we're going to be able to deliver. And it's the way we're actually going to live.
Mack, in a regard, one way to look at this, and I know this might be pretty cynical, but is this a way that the NCAA may not have to monitor as many, pay-for-play cheating scandal type things? Because a lot of the things that, some of these things, I just think back to the Big Red Motors in Norman and what was happening there. Could they just not make them compensated endorsers, pay them the same thing and be on their way as long as they fill out the paperwork?
Yeah, I think, the word deregulation comes to mind, Paul. Mm-hmm. And so I think in a sense there's deregulation in terms of some of those areas that you mentioned. But I don't know if this, sounds, conflicting, but, there's got to be with this deregulation, there's got to be some guardrails so that people don't take it past the limit. And now we have, certain recruiting advantages, et cetera. So I don't know that's, certainly I don't think that's the motivation, that was the motivation behind it. But in a sense, it's deregulation and it probably makes it easier in some ways or it's maybe in some ways it's less to monitor.
Mack, this is off the current topic, but your football staff has been pretty busy here lately. They're getting to hold camps for the first time in 2 years. They're able to have people actually visit campus, and it's safe to say it's gone pretty well for them with commits over the last couple of weeks. Do you just see an extra energy on campus right now with the football staff and all the people that are making their way to and from Waco to visit?
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been a lot of fun. I walked down into our lobby today and it was filled with unofficial visits, and, Coach Aranda and the staff are doing a great job. I really mean that. I think they're connecting. All of our camps have been sold out. We've got one remaining, I think, on July 31, but, there's this renewed energy. You said it. And it's just good to see young people, walking around. It's great to have, the visits, the in-person meetings, all of those things just throughout the department. So there is an energy, there's an excitement. And again, football, but all of our programs are doing a great job.
I know you got to go. But the track and field, Trayvon Bromell, Baylor graduate, Baylor alum. Casey Lightfoot last night or 2 nights ago qualifies in the pole vault. We had Will London the third make it as well.
And Brittany Griner.
Brittany Griner in basketball. And there's still some that are kind of in a position.
Yep.
But to me, that's pretty amazing that you have those amount of Olympians. And I think that based on what I see from the alums and people who are fans of all the various sports, they're embracing that. And how important is that you're going to have that brand out at the Olympic Games?
Yeah, it is important. And I think it's a sense of pride for all of us. I think just, the opportunity to represent the United States, and I know that we have our issues as a country, but it's the greatest country in the world. And the fact that we have people from Baylor representing the United States at the highest level in the Olympics. You mentioned Brittany. I'm so happy for her and excited for her and Trayvon and Will and Casey. And, man, it's just, I'm proud of them. And it speaks to, the three track and field student athletes. It just speaks to the great track and field tradition and Clyde Hart, Todd Harbor, and just the great job. We didn't even mention the 3 track and field individual national champions that we just had, Aaliyah and Akira and Casey. And so, yeah, just I think it's nothing but positive for our institution. This little faith-based school on the Brazos, right? And again, we're going to continue to fight, scratch, and claw, and be the very, very best we can be, and remain humble, and always know and understand that it's for His glory and not ours.
Mack, great to have you back. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you here pretty soon. Thanks for your time today, and thanks for a little extra time. It's great to have you back on the show. Appreciate it.
Same here. It's great to be with all of you. Thank you again. Appreciate you all.
Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor. There's a couple of things in there. One, they are ready for July 1st, the national image likeness, and they are going to do things perhaps a little bit differently than maybe even we think, but how they're going to position themselves. There was a part in there that he even mentioned the campaign name, and I was going to write it down, and I did not do that.
Baylor Built and Baylor Built Plus.
Yeah, and so that's a part of it, along with some other notes about the college football playoff expansion, name, image, likeness, elsewhere, conference realignment, and even the religious part of it, about what he said about Baylor will not change who they are or their beliefs. They will have some changes, but not to a point that it would, change who they are just to be a part of something. And perhaps the college football playoff calms down the possibility of super conferences, because now you don't have to have them, and you don't have to be in one to be a part of the college football playoff. A quick break here. And let's just keep going.
Let's just go here, and guys, right. run break 6 here in like 2-3 minutes.
Okay, then you guys, what else did he say that caught your attention? A couple of Mac bombs, if you want.
I think he did mention about NIL, that the market's going to correct itself. That there's probably going to be a flurry of things, and then people will see, mostly it's going to be people being able to go on their social media and be like, hey, it's your boy Chunk from the football team. Put in code CHUNK, and you'll get $5 off your next order of meat in a box. That's what it's going to be. It's not going to be anything like, you're not going to see too many guys with shoe deals. You'll have a few, but not too many.
Do y'all see what influencers do? That's basically what these guys are going to be doing, and girls. I mean, that's how I see it. Yeah, it's going to be like that. It's going to be ads in front of a post-game video at their apartment where they talk for 3 minutes about the game, and stuff like that. I mean, there must be interest in it. Otherwise, I don't know why we're moving this direction, but I'm interested to see how much interest there is in it and all the different ways. I saw some company who I guess saw this coming. There's vultures out there swirling, And there was some company that just launched the other day, and it's entirely based on name, image, likeness, and handling athletes. And they're going to have to be really careful with these outside folks. Like, those are going to be the folks that are coming in. They see the money grab. They see where they can take advantage. And I can guarantee there's going to be like 10 new businesses that are all based around name, image, likeness, and college athletes that'll prop up over the next year.
You know, people will be able to put themselves on like Cameo, which is like a celebrity thing where you pay money. And,
well, like we had last
sponsored
week.
Instagram posts.
Memo.me, yeah.
Yeah, like, this is a sponsored post or whatever. And, I mean, if you're on all those apps, I guess you'll see a lot of it. I'll miss out on most of it, honestly. But, good for the athletes, so long as it's, as on the up and up as it can be.
Yeah,
but
most of it's going to be like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Whatever.
I'm here at the pool.
Yeah.
We're going to unbox these bathing suits. Like, that's what it's going to be. It's not going to be anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's some people that come up with some good ideas and find a way to make it unique. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see here over the next few months. I did see, though, the NFL says they're going to start accepting bids from other cities outside of Indianapolis to start hosting the scouting combine. And Indy will host it in 2022, but after that, it's going to be like the Super Bowl where they just rotate it around, or the draft. Yep.
Making money.
Yep, more money.
And also moving the brand around, forever and ever and ever. It was in New York City, the NFL draft, and then all of a sudden they one year did it in Chicago and then Philadelphia. And then
they realized, we don't have to do it in the same place every year. It's actually just as good if we move it around the country. Yeah.
Nashville, there's been places that have had it and done great with it. And so move it around like they do the Super Bowl. And I'm sure, I don't know if they've gone back to New York since they left there. I don't remember that, to be honest.
For the draft? No.
No. So maybe Indianapolis. And here's the part about that. It's kind of like one day the Little League World Series decides they're not going to play that in Williamsport.
Yeah, I would actually be bothered by that because there's tradition and history there. I mean, I think something like
a community that has backed it
and there's meaning to it. I mean, what is the NFL draft other than a highly hyped up, dressier, just selection process? You know what I mean? I mean, they made it into a TV show and they made it into a TV special. But I mean, Williamsport, that's totally different in my mind. I mean, that's Williamsport. That's not just the Little League World Series. People say Williamsport. With the draft, it's just a draft. And I don't even know how many people would have known where it was last year, but they still tuned in for it. It wasn't necessarily where it was that made it unique. But Little League World Series, a big chunk of it is where it is, and that's what makes it unique.
Whatever we saw when we were younger, whether you're my age, Paul's age, or Craig's age, I was always going to be there. Like College World Series, there was discussion about moving it out of Omaha. And that community, that city has embraced it, and they do a great job hosting it, and their team hadn't been involved in that in forever. Nebraska, they were good at one point, and they moved. They got a new stadium, Ameritrade Stadium, and so it's interesting that the combine might move around. All right, when we come back, the Matthew Meyer time. He's coming back to Baylor, and his last few weeks, what has it been like? Why, in the end, did he decide he's going to come back for another year? Was it something he was told, or he was just kind of really like Jared Butler and Maceo Teague a year ago, dipping his toes in the water? How serious did it get that he might not come back, and what does he now do to help Baylor try to repeat and defend their championship? SicEm365 Radio.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab blood work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Here's for qualified buyer with $4,000 down to 2.9% TTNL extra. See dealer for details.
Travel is back during the summer savings event at Richard Carr. Explore America in the space and safety of an SUV or truck from Richard Carr. Savings like a 2016 Buick Encore for $148 a month, a 2017 GMC Sierra for only $318 a month, or a 2016 GMC Acadia for only $228 a month. At Richard Carr, 100% credit approval is always the goal. Log on or get here now and save at the summer savings event at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Flagler reaching in with the steal, and now Mitchell gets around Moody.
And Meyer can drill it.
He does! Off the bench, Matthew Meyer with the 3.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing is time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
We're still some dogs, so we're not too worried about it.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
We will hear in this hour from Matthew Meyer, who has made the decision after putting his name in to be looked at for the NBA draft. Of course, Baylor had already lost Jared Butler, Maceo Teague, Davion Mitchell, and Mark Vidal. And then Matthew Meyer was looking at, just like a year ago, Jared Butler and Maceo Teague did. It's part of the process, and you never know. And it's sometimes a lot more difficult a decision one way or the other. And we're now joined by Baylor senior to be, Matthew Meyer, who is back with the Baylor basketball team. Matthew, great to have you. Paul Catalina, David, and Craig Smoak. How much of a grind was this, the decision to either stay or go?
Well, the decision kind of made it tough because I got mono, and I couldn't really work out for like a while, and I wasn't in good enough shape to go to the combine, so I just decided to kind of bail on the whole thing because if I wasn't going to the combine, I'd only have like a few. The deadline to draw your name out would be 10 days after that, so I'd only been able to get a few workouts in. So I just decided to come back to Baylor.
What did you learn though through the process about what you want to work on going into your senior year, so that the next year when you are in the draft for real and for good, that you maximize your position?
Well, I'm just really working on extending my range right now, trying to be able to shoot as deep as possible and from the NBA line and even deeper than that. And guarding 1 through 5, that's kind of like an emphasis for me right now, and I'm trying to gain some weight, so I feel like I can do that effectively, but those are the two main things right now.
So you said you had mono?
Yes.
Yeah, I had that. How bad was it for you? Because I had a pretty bad case. It was several years ago, but it was definitely not fun.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I was feeling like, well, I can't say that. I was feeling terrible. And so I was just sitting in bed trying to hydrate as much as possible. And then once I started to feel better, then we did some tests to see. And then they told me that I couldn't practice for like a week, another week and a half, because like your spleen rupturing is a problem. So I was kind of just, I was forced to just kind of chill for weeks. And that, I mean, you can't go in for the combine in front of all those 30 teams playing 4 days of 5-on-5, not being in good shape, you know. So just decided to pull my name out, and I'm honestly happy with the decision. I wanted to come back to Baylor.
So, you know, I remember the day that you decided to test the waters. You were on with us, and you said you and your friend, the Mullet brothers, came on with us, right? And you weren't sure at the time, and that's a long time ago. So is it like, do you call Coach Drew, Jerome Tang? Who do you call? Or did they already know? Is it like committing to them like you did coming out of high school? Do you call them and say, hey, I want to be a Baylor Bear? What do you do?
No, I mean, it was just the opportunities. There were some really good opportunities, but because of the fact that I couldn't do the combine and other stuff, it just became clear. So I was just like, I was already working out with the team right at the end. So it was like the last few days, because I only had a few days to work out before and kind of decide if I wanted to do it. So I was working out with them, and I was just like, well, guys, I don't think this is going to work out this year. I'm just going to come back, and they're pretty happy to hear it. So, yeah.
All right, Matthew, I'm going to ask what everybody wants to know, the real story. Will the mullet stay, or will there be a new hairstyle for a new season?
Oh, it's staying, and the lightning bolt's staying too.
Oh, nice.
Kind of like having an extra. That's like an extra amenity, right?
Yeah, I feel like it just gives me so much more confidence. Like I can just go out there and just like shoot the ball every time. Like nobody's gonna say anything because I just like exude confidence. You know?
Absolutely.
Coach Drew and Jerome Tang and John Jacobs just had heartburn. Just shoot the ball every time. Oh.
Yeah, that didn't work out for me my freshman and sophomore year, but I kind of reeled it a little bit this year. But you know, we'll see.
You know how you as a team and program won the national title. It was the joy, togetherness, the chemistry, all in, having to sacrifice sometimes as well. You now come back as one of the dogs. And not that you weren't. At times last year you were. My goodness, we've talked to you about this before. I remember the West Virginia game and how you helped badly down the stretch when they needed you, and it kind of turned the corner with you in your conversations with Coach Drew. Are you ready for that responsibility?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to come back. I wanted to prove to everybody and to myself that it wasn't just, you know, a bench role that I was, you know, that's the only way I can be successful. And also we had so many good guards that a lot of the stuff was, well, can he score and create for himself without those elite guards? And, you know, we'll find out. I don't even know the answer to that, but I'm pretty confident in myself. I think I can come back and make a huge impact for this team. So it'll be a fun learning experience for me.
Matthew Meyer, Baylor senior, has decided to come back and play another year for Baylor after testing the waters with the NBA.
Matthew, what did the deep postseason run kind of teach you about the like, I mean, it was mostly ups, but like the struggle that like what you have to go through in that short amount of time, like to win something?
Yeah, I mean, it was a grind, especially because we were in the hotel the whole time and we weren't really able to talk to our family. But I mean, it just showed me like the winning mindset that we had. I mean, we had so many dudes on our team, like all the dudes that left, Mark, Jared, Maceo, Davion. I mean, everybody was just such a dog, and like they did it every single day. Like they came to work every day, and there's so much hype surrounding all of them, and it's just really hard to stay focused during that. But they got the work done every day, and they just had the winning mindset, and that really helped us get there. And I think I'll be able to help carry that over next year.
You enjoying watching any NBA playoffs?
Yeah, that game yesterday was crazy.
Now, Matthew, the pass to Ayton with 0.4 seconds and the alley-oop, the immediate dunk. Did you see the angle of that pass from the baseline past the backboard, the side of the basket? Did you see how? I mean, it was like basically only one way to make that pass.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, it's just a good play, and it worked out. But I mean, you know, Paul George did miss those 2 free throws. But
oh yeah,
I mean, that was that was a crazy game.
You mentioned something about working on your range. You have the height to be inside. You have the ability to rebound, block shots, obviously score, handle the ball. How much more range do you want?
Well, just moving my spacing back. Like normally I would be like on the line or a step or two behind it, but I'm really trying to move to where my spacing is around the NBA line and a step behind that, so that people have to respect me out there, and I just have a lot more space on my closeouts. I think that'll help me and my team a lot, just in terms of opening up the floor.
Like Damian Lillard, you cross half court. Don't.
No, not like that. But maybe I'm trying to get that Jared Butler range. Don't watch the film.
Yeah,
he pulls it from the logo sometimes.
Yeah. Matthew, how much did your improvement on defense help your offense last year?
Well, are you saying as a team or me individually?
For you individually?
Well, I think it just allowed me to stay on the floor a little longer, which is important. But, it just helped us get in the transition easier. And also, I was getting a lot of steals, and I think that just allowed me to have the ball and be able to push it on the break. So, it helped.
Matthew Mayer, Baylor senior, with us on SicEm365 Radio, made the decision, and also mono kind of derailed any opportunities to be a part of the NBA Combine. And Baylor fans, everybody that responded when I saw the story, when it was reported, 99.9999% of everybody just loved it. What would you mentioned this kind of earlier, because of who they've lost, because of who you've lost as a program, but who's coming back, and also the next level that's coming in from freshmen, et cetera, transfers. What would it mean to you if you could then be looked at in the same way as a senior, the way the ones that left with a national title?
That'd be incredible. That's kind of my dream right now, is to come back and be able to help us get to another title and be a big part of that. So, that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to come back. I think it could help my draft stock a lot, but also I just wanted to prove to myself that I could do it.
There's going to be a lot of new faces next year, Matthew. What have you kind of seen in practices over the course of the last few months, and just being around the program, and some of these young guys who we haven't seen a lot of just yet, or the incoming guys?
Yeah, we got a lot of talent. Our freshmen are really good, and we got a lot of good returning talent. We got me, Adam, John, Flo, Zach, Jordan, LJ. We got some good players. I think we're going to be a really talented team this year. It'll be interesting to see how we can put it together, since it's a lot of new guys. But I think we got a really good chance. I think we're definitely going to be a top 25 level team, and then after that, it depends on the kind of culture y'all have to see how far of a run you can make.
So when you got through mono, after that, because that will knock you down, COVID, of course, is something everyone had to deal with the last 13 or 14 months, and that can knock you down. What was the first thing you wanted to devour as something to eat? Was there a go-to, I have to eat this now because I can?
When I had mono, I was still eating a lot, so
okay.
It wasn't really anything like that. But honestly, since I was sitting at home the whole time, I got that DoorDash membership. Oh my gosh, that thing is amazing. Just all you got to do is just pay the tip, and right to your door. I was using that like twice a day. It was a problem.
You know what? Charlie Williams just gonna feel like like Superman hears something and then flies there. Yeah. Charlie Melton's gonna be at your door.
Yeah, you probably we may not want to post this interview because Charlie's already. Matthew, did go ahead?
Oh, it wasn't always unhealthy food, so. It wasn't terrible.
Don't tell us that. You had pizza, chicken wings, and all that stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's great food as well. Hey, man, I know a lot of people are excited you're back. It seems like you're thrilled. It seems like you're very clear and peace of mind with it. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck, and we'll see you very, very soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Matthew Mayer, back for another year with Baylor. men's basketball. He is a funny dude, man. He's a different character.
He's actually somebody who I think would benefit greatly from name, image, likeness. I could see him being a spokesperson in kind of a goofy way, but I could definitely see that. I could see the pull. He's got a lot of fans, and that would make sense. So, that's the kind of opportunity that now someone like him and everyone else, for that matter, has. But I could see him being a part of that. And, it's kind of weird because I always just assumed he was coming back. And if he had decided to stay in the draft, I guess I would have had a big reaction because I would have been not expecting it. But, the fact of it is it kind of takes some of the energy out of it because I just assumed it was going to happen. But in just hearing him talk, that's not to say it's not a massive deal, because it is. It is a massive deal that he is coming back next year. And he could be one of the most talked about players in all of college basketball next season. He could work his way into being a surefire first-round pick. He could lead them back to a championship. The sky is the limit for Baylor basketball and Matthew Meyer next year, and I think it's great that he's coming back. I think it's the right decision, not knowing all the particulars. I just think on the surface it seems like the right choice for him to make, and I'm excited to see him back in green and gold next year.
Hey, Armstrong, could you look up the number one Way Trey, Trey Way, on Twitter? That's Trey Wisner, and Craig just pointed that out. He visited Baylor today. The number one Way in the Trey, Treway.
One Way, Trey Way.
Yeah, but Trey could also be spelled differently. That's why I'm spelling it out. And see if you can pop that up on the screen here. We'll have Jon Machota normally with us at 5 on Wednesdays from The Athletic on DallasCowboys.com. There he is, Conley's very own. This kid is dynamic. We saw only glimpses of him, and so did sometimes the defense. He didn't have to touch the ball very much, but when he did, in most of their games, he showed an explosion that I've been covering high school football for 40 years, and he's among the fastest or quickest or most lightning fast guys I've seen.
Yeah, he's not a 5-star prospect, but I could see him being a 4 pretty easily because of his speed and his moves. And the one thing that I would all say about Trey is that people do need to remember he was just a sophomore last year. But he looks the part. Look at that. Tell me that's not a guy you want on your football team right there at a skill position. He looks like a dude already. He's in between his sophomore and junior years right now. But if there is a knock on him, he is super fast. He's super quick. He can catch the football. Like, Baylor would love to have him. But, the downside of not covering Connolly this year would have been, not being around Shane Anderson. Luckily, we're going to be able to do that at Midway now. But the downside is not being able to watch Trey Wisner this year, because I really want to see what he does. He's got to get tougher. He's got to be able to get in there against the La Vegas and be able to get some yards here and there and not kind of get rooted out by halftime, because that's what happened in a couple of their bigger games last year. He got focused in on because they didn't have great consistent quarterback play, and so he was a target, and it was very clear that people started watching their film and they're like, number one, do not let him do anything. But even then, he still was able to break away at times, and just got to mature a little bit and he'll be fine.
The China Spring game was a huge breakout, a big moment for him, and that in the first half of that game, that was going on. China Spring had him. They didn't have him. And then the second half, or towards the end of the first half, he had a big play, and it was it was like he realized, like, oh, man, I really am this fast.
Yeah.
Like, I can do this. And so then and he had a huge second half in that game, which led to them winning.
He basically, Davion Gaither obviously did, like, pretty much all he could physically do. I'd say, the defense as well played really well. The offensive line you have to give a lot of credit to as far as just how much they had to run the football. But there's no doubt if Davion Gaither was 1A on that team last year, Trey Wisner was 1B as far as impact level. And he breaking out a couple of big plays at the right moment. That China Spring game was freaking insane. I need a copy of that, by the way. I need to put that in.
China Spring game?
Yeah, China Spring Conley game. I would love to have a copy of that.
It all kind of started with him when he recovered a fumble. Remember, during it was a fourth down play, and then all of a sudden, in the last part of that, he just took off. He just went nuts.
And you get him in the open field, he is gone. He is gone. He is right up Baylor's alley, but that's also why he's got offers from pretty much everybody else too. So I'm telling you, man, this 2023 class in the Waco area between Mikael Harrison Pilot at Temple, who got offered by Jackson State today, which is kind of funny to see Jackson State after like all these big dogs have been offering. Like here comes Jackson State, and it actually is like meaningful because of Davion, obviously. But yeah, he got offered. But Mikael Harrison-Pilot, you got a couple guys over in Marlin, Gillette being one of those. You got Trey Wisner, and I'm sure there's a couple that I'm not even thinking of. I mean, Baylor could really bring in some good talent and not have to travel too far to do so for 2023.
Yeah, he can run. He can flat out get it done. Good luck to him. And, of course, next year we'll have Conley and Midway football on our various outlets of 106.7, 107.9, and SicEm365 Radio, the app, and much more. All right, when we come back, Cowboys on the radar with Jon Machota, theathletic.com. Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. 4th of July is approaching, so you know that they'll have, and they do have, some great incentives for you. It's 4th of July sales event right now at the dealership. New 2021 1500 Ram Lone Star quad cabs, the trucks. Repeat Motor Trend Truck of the Year, built to serve you, with total values of $5,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus on top of that $1,000. Alan Samuels, located at Loop 340 and east of 84 in Waco, has a lot of incentives leading up to 4th of July. And here's another one. How about the 2021 Jeep Renegade Latitude? $3,750 in values, 1.9% for 72 months, plus $500 in bonus cash. There's the 2021 Jeep Gladiator Overland, values of $1,500 or 3.9%, 72 months. Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, and the Charger. The Charger 300, values up to $5,250, 0% for 84 months. At Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
It It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Do it today by searching SicEm365 on YouTube.
All right, here we go. SicEm365 Radio. Jon Machota will join us in the next segment, theathletic.com. Great to hear from Matthew Meyer. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that mononucleosis. I think Ashley Hodge, who's always on top of it with men's basketball, may have thrown that out there at some point. But maybe I was just kind of scanning over that a little bit. But that's a good reason.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know what his case was like. That's why I asked him. But I had an awful, awful case of mono the summer after my senior year. And it put me down for like a couple months. And that was the worst sore throat I've ever had in my entire life. Which led me to ultimately going to the doctor because I could barely swallow, and then finding out I had mono, and it was not fun. And I know it varies from person to person, but didn't have any idea outside of Ashley obviously on the boards indicating that, but you wouldn't have known. That's a good reason why, if you remember SicEm365, you already would have had a little bit of a heads up on that. Good to see that he's got a good feeling about coming back, and he's excited about the team, and we'll see where they go next year. Ashley,
actually, I can repeat this now. He said, wise decision. He had something, don't know details, not injury related or off the court related. I think temporary non-COVID illness that kept him from preparing for the combine, and it was with mononucleosis. So, and he was
You've had that too, right?
I have. It'll shut. You got headaches. You shut down. You feel the. I have been lucky to never have contracted COVID, but I would think that if anything was similar to that perhaps mononucleosis is in that category. I'm not saying it's serious, but possibly in that category.
I actually think my mono case was worse than my COVID case.
They're both pretty bad.
I'm not even going to say my mono case was definitely worse than my COVID case.
Well, I had that double pneumonia. That was about as bad as it could ever get. So so those are certain things, man. They just make you just want to sleep and not do much and have no energy.
And you don't know.
I can understand that with him.
Yeah, like my sister's boyfriend is a big dude, and he got COVID, and he got a really bad case of it. So you just don't know. Like, if you were to line us two up, and you say, who would have the worst time with this? It definitely people would pick me. And I had a much easier time with it than he did, so it just kind of depends.
Yeah.
I saw him this past weekend and cooked him some dinner on, I guess it was on Saturday night, and he was just able to start eating what normally would be like he would destroy it, like steak and the chili that I make. And he was telling me he's still in a lot of ways just getting back to eating certain things like that.
I am not all the way back. Like the brain fog thing people talk about, I've had really tough trouble with that. Like keep maintaining focus and like sitting down to write. It's really hard to it's hard to explain. It's hard to put words down and like, I don't know. I can't explain it. It's just difficult to focus for very long. And I know, thankfully, there's other people that have dealt with similar, the brain fog thing, and I've read other people have issues with that. So glad I'm not alone. That would really concern me. But yeah, again, it's just kind of depends on each case, kind of what happens.
Were you going to say that I seem to suffer from that even without COVID on occasion?
No, I wasn't going to say that at all.
You normally come back with something like that.
Senility is one thing. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to jump down that.
You have to tell the Jay Williams story.
So, in a now deleted tweet, Jay Williams who is a basketball analyst and former Duke star, on ESPN, said that the Celtics just hired the first coach of color in team history.
You said that, and I started popping off names immediately.
Yeah, they've had 6. He's their 6th.
What a moron.
He's their 6th. Actually, the Celtics hired the first head coach of color in their history and league history in 1966. And I don't know if you've heard of this guy. Maybe you're not. If you're not a basketball fan, you haven't heard of the 3rd or 4th greatest player in the history of the league, Bill Russell.
He has more rings as a player and coach than anybody ever. Maybe Phil Jackson is in that conversation.
But how do you not remember Doc Rivers? He was just there. He was winning titles.
Yeah.
But I mean, Doc Rivers was just there not that long ago, winning championships with the big 3.
So at best in your memory, he should have to be the 2nd.
Yeah, I mean, what in the world?
So you listed Bill Russell.
Yeah, Bill Russell.
Casey Jones.
Casey Jones. Tom Sanders was a coach there for a while. Yeah. Not very long, but he was a coach there. ML Carr and Doc
I like
Rivers.
ML Carr. He was a hell of a power forward type guy, short body, but was always pretty physical. And then Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
What a moronic thing to do. That's just.
It's down.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, the thing is that if you had it there, very rarely, if you're a person of note, can you tweet anything and then delete it and no one see it?
Right.
Yeah.
Thank God we can.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But it doesn't take long. I mean, all it takes is one person to see it and screenshot it, and then your tweet, while deleted, is still alive.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, on one of the text messages, Matt in D.C. said he's listening to us on his beach speaker system in Key West, Florida.
Okay. Nice.
Good for you, Matt. Thank you for spreading the audio, the tones of SicEm365 Radio. Also, TJ, it's simply because he didn't want to remember. Wanted it to be true. That's where we're at today.
Oh, yeah, I mean, possibly. I mean, Jay Williams has said dumb stuff before, too. This is not the first time he said something dumb and had to delete or apologize for it. So kind of a foot and mouth type of guy, it seems. But, yeah, I'm with you. I think that there are probably a lot of people that wish that was true, but it's not, and it's not even close to true, and I'm glad he got corrected in quick hurry.
By the way, one more thing. Art Strickland, who's been on the show, covers golf for us, Baylor alum. He's taken a group of people to Torrey Pines at the end of July, and he has some packages available. There's 3 spots open. Now, he's not a sponsor of the show, but he does a segment with us. If, in fact, you're listening or watching, if you're interested, I will send you the information. I mean, these things aren't cheap. It's somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000, but you get to play 2 or 3 days of golf. You're going to be staying in the lodging area. But if you're interested and you're a SicEm365 premium member or just anyone on the website or watching us or listening to us, my email is SmokeyHSFB Smokey at SicEm365.com. You can reach me there, Smokey at SicEm365.com. 3 weekend, let's see, it's a Tuesday the 27th, going courtside with rooms and golf at where the U.S. Open was just played at Torrey Pines. And so if you want, Smokey at SicEm365.com, and I'll send you the information, and you can deal with Art if you want, if you're interested. Coming up next, Jon Machota, theathletic.com. Don Shumidor and coffee beans. By the way, you can get some of those if you want to take them on that trip in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. But also, I want to talk about Waco Custom Marketplace. Good save? Man, I tell you what. Very good save. Just keep going, right? Waco Custom Marketplace. I had a great conversation with Brian Bauer the other day, and here are the items of the week for them. They are giving 10% off fresh breads. They bake bread fresh every morning, kolaches every morning. 20% off the pint milk. Fresh salmon. This is delicious. Norwegian salmon, $12.99 a pound. Fresh chicken tenders, boneless pork chops at $3.25 or $2.25 a pound. The tri-tip, you want to get yourself a big piece of tri-tip for a barbecue, for a reunion, or for just you, $6.75 a pound. And then the steaks, the top sirloin steaks at $6.99 a pound. Marinated chicken fajita breast, and this is fantastic. at $3.25 a pound, and the marinated beef fajita meat at $7.50 a pound. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
It's the 4th of July sales event at Allen Samuels with the 2021 Chrysler 300 with values up to $5,250 or 0% for 84 months. Be sure and see the 2021 Dodge Charger GT with total values up to $4,250 or 0% for 72 months. Allen Samuels, the award-winning customer service Central Texas dealer, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco and online at AllenSamuelsDCJ.com. Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business.
Come by, let's be friends.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Jon Machota of The Athletic.
Just a sneak for Prescott, and he's in. Touchdown.
Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
All right, here we go. 5 o'clock hour rolling through. We'll have Paul's top five. Top 5 at 5:55. Joined by Jon Machota, who is very patient with us today to be on the show a little bit later than normal. Jon, you have done so many different stories during the offseason. Obviously, who's the most important, who's the most, irreplaceable, whatever else. Let's start with, other than Dak, who has to be the top 3 players that cannot go down for the Cowboys for any length of time?
Okay, that's a good one. I'm going to go with Tyron Smith as number one. I think Ty Nsekhe can be a solid left tackle. If they need to go to him like for a game or two, they cannot afford to lose Tyron Smith for a long period of time. So he would be number one for me. That position just way too. I mean, the success of the team is so connected with, Tyron's health over there. So Tyron Smith would be one. DeMarcus Lawrence would probably be number two. He just, the pass rushing just would be completely drop off without him. I mean, he's a guy that does more than just rush the passer, but he's just clearly to me their most valuable defender. And so if you didn't have Lawrence, I don't know where you're getting sacks from, and I also think that you're making the job a lot harder on your other edge rusher because opposing offensive lines don't have to worry about DeMarcus Lawrence. So this defense is just so limited with elite playmakers. To lose DeMarcus Lawrence, there's just not anybody else on the roster that can come close to making up for that loss. And three is I gotta go back to the offensive line and say Zach Martin, just because of the fact of how when Zach went down, how bad things looked this past year. And I do think that behind Dak, he's probably their most valuable player just for what he does. I think his ceiling is still the highest. And, for a lot of other teams, I probably would name a wide receiver or a running back, but they have enough guys that if Zeke was to go down, you feel pretty good about Tony Pollard having to fill in for a little bit. If CeeDee Lamb was to go down, you still feel pretty good about what they have at receiver. And then on defense, it's like, I think the next person would probably be Trayvon Diggs because he's clearly their best defensive back, but there just aren't a lot of guys there. And then at linebacker, even if Leighton Vander Esch goes down, you've done a good job this offseason of kind of replenishing the players there to where it's now a really deep position. So, I'll go Tyron Smith, Marcus Lawrence, and Zach Martin.
If all 11 draft picks make the team, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I would say it really doesn't matter either way. I'll tell you why in a second. But I guess we'll say it's a bad thing because if that means that just some of these guys at the bottom there, if they're making the team, then they're making over some solid veteran players that you think would be better than they are to just be replaced like that. But I guess the reason why I don't know that it really matters because the coaching staff obviously drafted these guys for a reason, or at least had a say in drafting these guys for a reason. So they have to like these players. So it says more about, and when I say that, I guess I should point out that the reason I'm saying it's because it's such a heavy defensive draft. And so the defensive coaching staff had a big say in this. That's why you've seen such a change in the type of player they were looking for and getting these long players, whether it be defensive backs or defensive linemen. So I guess it wouldn't really surprise me if all 11 make it. But it just says a lot about the depth on your team if you're keeping 11 draft picks. So it probably isn't a great thing for the rest of your roster. But then again, it just says a lot about what the defensive coaching staff thinks about what they need to do and the type of players that they need to have out there and how different it needs to be from, the way it's been the last few years.
So when Zeke first got into the league, it feels like we couldn't go a day without some headline involving him, whether it was because of what he was doing off the field or what he was doing on the field when he was just tearing up the NFL. It's been a kind of a different last couple years for him. And been, quite frankly, John, really quiet. Does it feel like the calm before the storm type of a sense with Zeke in the upcoming season? Or is just more of a question mark, you suppose?
Are you talking about on the field or off the field?
Yeah, on the field. Sorry, on the field.
Yeah, because I was like, let's not get into off the field. I don't want to jinx I don't want to jinx anything right now. No, it is interesting. I would say because on the field with Ezekiel Elliott, it's I don't know. He just hasn't looked as explosive these last couple of years, and so he seemed very workmanlike in his work that we got to see during OTAs and minicamp, and it certainly seems from afar that it looks like a very motivated player. So that should be a good thing. The thing with Ezekiel Elliott on this team to me that I find so interesting is it just goes back to that 2016 draft, and to have the season they had in 2016, you needed Zeke to be what he was, which is amazing. Obviously, getting the rushing title, and there was a lot of early comparisons there to what Emmitt Smith did for the early 90s Cowboys teams, and then also in 2016, Dak Prescott, and both those guys were finalists for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Dak ends up getting it, but at that time, it still was like this team is built around Zeke. To have success, it has to be what Zeke does. And here we are going into the 2021 season, and it's completely flipped. That it's like Zeke is now number two. This team is built all around Dak. It's all about what Dak does. And this team could still have success if Ezekiel Elliott doesn't have 1,200, 1,300 yard, 14, 15, 1,600 yard season, like you really thought that they were going to need back in like 16, even before that, when you have DeMarco Murray going for his single season Cowboys record. So it's interesting the way it's changed, because this is clearly a Dak. Dak is number one, and Zeke has moved down to number two. But with all of that being said, if you can say that Zeke's going to come out of the gates and have some 1,400 yard season, being up for the rushing title, I find it hard to believe that the team isn't having a lot of success if that happens. I mean, if the running game's going well, that usually means that there's a lot of wins coming your way. And so, while I think it's important for Ezekiel Elliott to be successful and have a good year, and I think he's in position to do that, it seems like he's in some of the best shape he's been in several years. I don't think it is as needed as it has been in the past.
I saw on June the 21st, the Vote Here 2021 Dallas Cowboys fan survey on theathletic.com. Jon Machota, theathletic.com, covers the Cowboys like a blanket. I know it's no longer up. I'm disappointed. I was neglected. I did not get on there in time, but I'm not a Cowboys fan, so I shouldn't be on there. Was there anything in particular, an answer to one of the questions that maybe surprised you? I know there's a lot of questions and a lot of answers, but just curious, just based on what you may have seen so far.
Yeah, so I'm breaking it down right now. I wouldn't say that there's very many things that really surprised me. I mean, most underrated, most overrated player are like all over the map. Those are always the most interesting to me because of the fact that it's a write-in vote. So it's interesting, I would say, that they're not, even though he's not going to come close to getting the most votes, that there are several people that are voting for Dak as overrated. I found that kind of interesting, because to me, I thought, like, if you told me going into that, like, who do you think will probably be like the top voter getters for overrated? Number one, I'd say Jalen Smith, because he was the guy last year that I got the most votes, and then Ezekiel Elliott because of what he's paid, DeMarcus Lawrence because of what he's paid, guys like that. I didn't expect to see Dak on there, and I think that's the one out of all these like survey things like this and just fan vote stuff that, like, you can just tell that the fan base isn't 100% in on like all the money that Dak got. And you know, maybe it's always been like that because I wasn't down here in the 90s, but I just find it hard to believe that the whole fan base wasn't behind Troy Aikman. Like, no, this is the guy, and we got the right guy, and he can win a Super Bowls, and he has won a Super Bowl, and then another one, and then another one. But I don't know. Like, I'm interested to see how everything goes this season because of the fact that because Dak got this contract, there's just going to be even more eyeballs on him, not only from the outside, but also from the own fan base, that, like, there's just a lot of pressure on him to perform because of that contract that he got. And I think that changes the perception of him a little bit, because I just don't see anybody saying that Dak Prescott was overrated a year ago. But now, because you get the money, that's what puts you up to that, like, now where people are expecting a lot. And let's be honest, most players, when they get that big contract, they generally don't play up to it. I mean, that's how it is. And it's probably not just the NFL. It's probably most sports leagues. But, you know, I mean, would anybody sit here and say that, oh, yeah, they've gotten every penny's worth out of DeMarcus Lawrence or Jalen Smith or Ezekiel Elliott? You know, like, it generally doesn't happen. But with Dak being the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, the expectations are just so high for him. And I think he won't have a problem handling it just from my team being around him. But it's really going to be turned up this year more than it was a year ago.
John, how much of the Venn diagram would be filled up if you put bitter Tony Romo fans and people who don't believe in Dak together? Is that kind of the same thing? Like, there's a lot of people who feel like Tony Romo was rousted out way too soon, even though he went right to television right after, and that was a pretty clear indicator he didn't want to or couldn't play anymore physically. But there's still this kind of residual, if only Tony Romo had been here thing.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. The only thing I will say is on that diagram, every year that group becomes less and less, I feel. Mm-hmm. I think that Dak, if he had not, let's say he would have taken something that looked a little bit more team friendly. Let's say he signed for $37 million a year or something like that instead of 40. I think that then there'd be more people on his side. It's the fact that he's, you know, right under Patrick Mahomes, that it's kind of like, well, we haven't even done anything. We haven't even gotten to an NFC Championship game. We're not even back to the Super Bowl. This is a franchise supposed to be getting the Super Bowls. We haven't been to the Super Bowl in 25 years. Like, this guy's going to be the highest paid player in franchise history. I think that fans look at it that way as opposed to how they should look at it. And it's like, well, no, he's a top 10 quarterback, and if you have a top 10 quarterback, you're going to have to pay him like this, you know? And you know what, one thing is that I do think will help those people, I think, come to a little bit more of reality is that, you know, this is the time of year where you could start seeing maybe a Baker Mayfield deal get done, a Lamar Jackson deal get done, a Josh Allen deal get done, that will then, if you get all three of those contracts done, then Dax automatically starts dropping down because it ain't going to be number 2 behind Mahomes anymore because those guys are going to get up there. So I think that helps them a lot. So just to answer your question, I think it's the Rumble thing. I think people are starting to make peace with it because enough time has passed. But now I think that they move from that to they jump into the contract thing. It's like, we paid that guy all that money. We never paid this guy all that money in that. Now he better be able to carry this team, even if there are some injuries and stuff. And I just think that and when I say this, I'm not speaking I think this is 50-50 in the fan base. We're talking about the minority. It's way less than 50%. It's probably 10, 20% or something like that. I mean, but it just, you definitely hear from those people. That's for sure. But I think the Rumble thing, as we go every year that goes by, I think people are starting to come to their senses that, it was time to move on.
That's the social media funhouse. It seems like everybody's saying it when it's really a fraction of the people actually saying it across the board. John, with the news that the Combine after next year in Indianapolis will start to look at moving around all of the NFL draft, the way they've done that the last few years, pretty strong bet that the Star or Cowboys facilities could be interested in hosting the Combine one day?
Yeah, absolutely. I will say we didn't go this past year, but the previous 3 or 4 years when I was in Indy for the Combine, there were all kinds of, just talk amongst people that they were looking at their other possibilities, especially with it being February. It's generally cold in Indianapolis, and so the city that you always would hear is LA. People would always talk about, they're eventually going to move this thing to Southern California. It's going to be moved out to California, blah, blah, blah. You'd always hear that over and over again. But then when you see the advancements and everything that the Cowboys have made at the Star and certainly what they're capable of doing with their medical facilities around there, you could see it being a possibility of having it here, no question. I just don't think it'll be that they'll get the first dibs. I think if you hear that in the next couple of years the Combine's moving from Indy, it's going to be LA will be the first one that comes up. But with that being said, there's also a lot of people that have been going to the Combine for a long time that are just fine with it staying in Indy, even though it might be cold that time of year. There is a part of Indy that let's see, how should I put this? It's kind of like you can get away with kind of going out to the bar if you're an agent and meeting with a coach or maybe some prospects or front office members and things like that. And you don't have to worry about a ton of other people being around because it's Indianapolis in February. If you move that to LA, it just becomes this huge show. There's going to be so much more media around it than there already is. And I think it takes away a little bit of that element that's what the Combine is known for. It's that's when a lot of negotiating and deal stuff would get done because it happens right before free agency, and there's a lot of things that you can do around there where you're really not bothered by anybody because it's Indianapolis. It's not really this big town and LA all of a sudden brings the glitz and glamour and turns it into this big show. And it makes me wonder how much of that other stuff will be eliminated. And the people that go there every year, I don't know how much they're going to love that. I mean, I don't know many people that go there and have been going there for a long period of time that really complain about Indianapolis. I think it's just the more the NFL keeps getting bigger. So it's let's put this in a bigger media market. But I mean, I don't know if you guys I love going to Indy for it. It's small. Everything's very walkable. It's all in this, all the restaurants, the stadium, everything is just really close. So if it's going to move from there, I would honestly say move it to New Orleans or another city where everything's really close and walkable. And that's really not LA.
I've been to Indianapolis that I can remember twice. For the Super Bowl, the year after Dallas hosted it, it was fantastic because, as you mentioned, the walkways. And then I went back because of Baylor men's basketball. And even though a lot of those walkways, the indoor walkways from hotels to the convention center, whatever else, were blocked and closed off because of COVID, I love that city. I don't know if I'd live there, but I could stay there for something like the Combine or the March. I was there 2 weeks. I do like it. I like the accessibility. I think downtown is basically a 10-minute walk, maybe, and you're in front of everything. So I agree with you on that. I really do. Paul, anything else for John?
Yep.
All right, Craig? John, thank you very much. That's Jon Machota, athletic.com, with us on Wednesdays at 5 o'clock on the Cowboys, and also much more. Armani Brooks. Paul, Craig, you told me he's from Waco. Which one of you guys told me he's a Waco native?
He was born here, yes.
Born in Waco. He played down in the Austin area. July 3rd, Marlin High School. We had them on. Remember, their football coach Torres on last week. Marlin High School will have a ball or nothing clinic. It's a basketball clinic. Marlin Boys Basketball presents 11 to 1, 2 hours. Let's see. Hosted by Coach Bobby Red and company. Special guest will be Rockets guard Armani Brooks, Waco native who played or is now with the Houston Rockets. So that's something that is going on at Marlin High School.
Well, that's very cool. Marlin's been busy and love seeing the excitement. They're creating things. They're following through on ideas. They're really working hard over there, and that's good to see. And they're about to experience a lot more attention with the young players they have that are getting recruited already. With Gillette with A&M offer, Baylor offer, etc. So a lot of coaches rolling through Marlin here over the next couple of years for sure. All right, so good for them.
Paul, the break here and then come back with your
we have 2 minutes
top 55.
You want me to read off this random stat that was just crazy to me?
Yeah.
So The Athletic did an article on Texas, like their state of the program thing or whatever, and it said that only Boise State had a better win percentage than Texas from Mack Brown's first year in 98 through 2009. And they've had 3 straight top 25 finishes now, even though that wasn't good enough for Tom Herman to keep his job. But even with 3 straight ranked finishes and the best winning percentage from 98 to 09, other than Boise State, they are 52nd in win percentage since 2010. But the stat that was really crazy that brought this up was since Ndamukong Suh was up for the Heisman Trophy and should have won it, by the way, absolutely should have won the award that year. Since the Ndamukong Suh Colt McCoy Big 12 title game between Texas and Nebraska back in 2009, Nebraska is 79-59, and Texas is 78-61. And that's just crazy. Like, that's just a crazy stat that they are both less than 20 games, or I guess Nebraska is exactly 20 games above 500 since 2009. That's insane.
A lot of years to age.
But they're identical. Nebraska's got 1 more win, and Texas has 2 more losses, but they're almost identical in that time period.
In a lot of ways, how they have faded.
I would
say during that time, Texas has been slightly uptick better. They won the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
They competed. But hey, they both have been very much at least average at best and well below the standard.
Outside of what you just mentioned, I think the other difference is that Nebraska doesn't have the expectations anymore.
No, my God, I'm looking forward to how are they going to win 5? And if they win 6, Scott Frost should get a pay raise.
I really believe in Scott Frost. I'm not totally not believing in him now. I do think there is something that you got to start talking about if you talk about it with other programs of like just this whole UCF thing and how guys go there and seem to have success, and how much of that is maybe what's in place already, and it's kind of a job where you can do that, or is it just they've had 5 really talented, 3, 4, 5 really talented coaches in a row? I don't know. I'm looking for Scott Frost to find that magic, though. It's been hard to come by.
If they don't improve this year, even a tad, then I don't know what's going to happen. All right?
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Brought to you by Slapsticks Comedy Club. It's coming along. Signs up. Stage is built. Lots of stuff going on. Check out slapstickscomedy.com. Aiming for July 3rd soft open. But, still got some things to go at Slapsticks. But we'll still have things and events going on before it opens as well. Davion Mitchell, landing spots. That's the top 5 as the NBA lottery came out today last night. So number 5. With the 10th pick in the draft, it would be the New Orleans Pelicans. And look, as they can, pacify Zion Williamson, I think that'd be a heck of a place for Davion Mitchell to wind up.
Yeah, be a good pairing. Is Davion a good enough shooter, consistently enough? They want shooters, so if he can, be consistent with that, it's certainly, part of what they're eyeing apparently in this draft. And yeah, defensively, that'd be pretty formidable to walk up with New Orleans, but. Okay, yeah, New Orleans Pelican. He'd obviously, if he performed well, he'd get a lot of shine being on the same team as Zion.
Yeah. All right, number 4, the Charlotte Hornets. Well, I still want to call the Bobcats for some reason, even though they've been the Hornets for a long, long time.
That's weird because when they were the Bobcats, I wanted to call them the Hornets for forever. And now that they're the Hornets, I almost forget the Bobcats existed. That was a thing. The Charlotte Bobcats was a thing there for a little while.
Yeah.
Pretty odd.
They're picking at 11th, which I don't know if he falls to 11th. I don't know if he falls to 10th. But, look, they just had Lonzo. Which ball? LaMelo Ball? LaMelo Ball win Rookie of the Year. I think that'd be a nice guard pairing going forward.
Pretty cool he did that, despite all the...
Yeah. So I think that'd be a nice place for him. Plus, everybody wants to meet Michael Jordan, so...
Well, they need a center. He's not a center, but they need shooting.
Yeah.
So, again, if you can shoot, man, you're going to find yourself going that much higher. So, yeah, they need shooters, and that would work well there too.
All right, number 3, the Toronto Raptors. They pick at 4, and I believe they pick at 4. Yes, they pick at 4. Look, Freddie Gillespie's already there. They're a couple years off of a title. I don't know. I mean, I think he fits there.
They have what pick, 4th?
Yeah, the 4th pick.
That'd be about, you would think that's about as high as he'll go, which would be wonderful for him in his contract. But, all right, Toronto. You know what? I looked at that graphic and I said, boy, that's a weird-looking graphic of Toronto on the right-hand side of that screen. And I realized that's slapstick comedy.
Yeah. They didn't add the banana to their dinosaur.
I thought maybe they slipped on the banana when Kawhi left.
You're not really making an argument out of that senility hole there. Smokey.
Yeah. Well, I
can't argue it.
The pairing with Freddie Gillespie would be cool. I don't know so much about the Raptors needs. Another kind of in rebuild mode now. Not entirely, but sort of since the championship. But, hey, when you win a championship, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can kind of rebuild it after that.
Yeah. Number 2, and this is a pipe dream among pipe dreams, but at 12, the San Antonio Spurs. Yeah, at 12, which is a really high pick for the San Antonio Spurs. But can you imagine Davion Mitchell and Greg Popovich together?
If he's how much longer is he going to be there? Because I don't know if Popovich. I don't know.
Forever.
Okay.
I almost felt like he missed his opportunity to go out on a high note, like a couple of years ago, because now it's like, oh, yeah, he's still there in San Antonio because they're not as front and center.
He's very much a Popovich-type player, and then
he would love
relentless
him.
defense.
And I mean, why not be coached by one of the best NBA coaches of all time?
And Davion's a very no-frills guy. San Antonio's no-frills. Popovich is no-frills.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how much Davion would love that going from Waco to San Antonio.
Looks like he came out of the mountain. He's like Moses sometimes. Have you seen him this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And number 1, the Golden State Warriors, who pick at 6th. Not 6th. Where do they pick?
They're at 7.
7. Yeah, they're at 7. And I think this is pretty much, I think, the odds-on favorite where he lands. And, look, they've got a lot coming back. They still have Steph Curry. They'll have Klay Thompson coming back. They have Draymond Green. They have, James Wiseman.
Klay Thompson's back?
Yeah.
Is he healthy?
So, yeah, hopefully for them. And then you can step in and play the role that they need you to play. So, just outside the playoffs this year, they were in the play-in and didn't win. So, I think this wouldn't be a bad spot for him to land.
I know that with Draymond, they're known as being pretty tough defensively. He's a great defensive player. They could use another one. It wouldn't hurt. That right?
They could use a lot of defense, and they too could. Even with Steph and Klay, still use more offense, and I think Davion's going to be able to provide that. So I could see. I could see him definitely fitting in Golden State.
We played the audio of his interview, Davion Mitchell, but the video part of it that Jack wouldn't let me use, and for good reasons, we don't want to have to pay copyright infringement. Is that it was him sitting down with a basketball in his lap.
Yeah.
And isn't that him? It's like a body part for him.
Yeah. But by the way, this is one thing the NBA, and I'm going to start my rant here before the draft because I'll go on. So, we've already complained about how somebody will hold up a jersey for some team they'll never play for.
Yeah. Stupid.
Well, even on their website. So here I just went to the NBA website, so I made sure I had the picks right. So even on their website, it says at number 7, Minnesota's pick goes to Golden State. Well, it's not Minnesota's pick anymore. It's already Golden State's. They've already agreed to it.
No.
Why don't you just put it on the damn website?
Well,
what kind of parliamentary procedure are they sticking to?
They do that in the NFL, don't they?
No, once the trade is made, they'll move it under. So
Chicago's on the clock. They made a trade with Green Bay.
Yeah,
Chicago's
so
on the clock.
Chicago from Green Bay. But it wouldn't be – they've got it backwards.
Green Bay doesn't pick and then trade the pick to Chicago. Chicago trades the pick and gets the pick and makes the pick.
Minnesota to Golden State.
It should say Golden State from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But they don't do that. It's like Kobe Bryant holding up a Hornets jersey, and countless other examples. Luka holding up a Hawks jersey. It's like, I don't know why that is so difficult for them to do. I don't know why they don't change that.
All right. Thanks to, again, Matthew Meyer for being a part of the show. Mack Rhoades for being a part of the show. Great to have him back. And Jon Machota. Tomorrow, I got a couple of people we're working on. Looking forward to tomorrow. Also, what are you looking at?
Nothing.
Okay, Paul, Catalina, Craig Smoak. Thanks to Jack. Also to Hayden and Emma. And part of Armstrong today. Oh, he's not happy with me today. No, it's great to have we have the best people a part of this every single day behind the scenes, and we try to tell you about them all of the time. Thank you for watching, listening, our great sponsors. I'm David Smoak. Good night on SicEm365 Radio.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.